welcome to the 5th edition of the Rain Delay. I'm your host, Mike Giannini. Along with me are Nick DeCicco and Justin Avedissian. And we're starting off today's segment with one of probably the greatest topics right now, Andrew Luck. Stanford, senior quarterback. I mean, this guy is a genius. This guy's smart at what he does, and he's a great player.
Yeah, Andrew Luck's really a true leader. He represents what college quarterback should. He's staying his 4 years. Could have easily went in the draft last year. Would have went first round. But he wanted to stay for his senior year, there for his education, and he's going to be a great leader.
Absolutely, Andrew Luck. He's obviously a great football player right now in college. Probably going to be a great football player, hopefully in the pros. But he was right about staying in college for all 4 years, and he got his education, and now he's going to have his degree, and now he's going to have his opportunity to go in the pros.
Let's talk about now the NFL draft and what his position is right now. Teams that are looking to him to receive him are the Colts and the Dolphins, maybe the Rams, but even trade Bradford to receive him, or even the Seahawks. My main focus is on the Dolphins right now. Dolphins, they're on a big losing streak, and I think personally they're trying to lose just to get him. I don't know what to say.
They're trying to win games, but it's between the Dolphins and the Colts. There's even rumors that the Colts should trade Peyton Manning, which I think is ridiculous. Franchise quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. So it's going to be between them two. Whoever gets the first pick, if it is the Colts or if it is the Dolphins, who really do need a quarterback. Who they got back there now? Chad Henne or
Matt Moore? Matt Moore.
Exactly. Really nobody's. They need a stable quarterback, and Andrew Luck could really get that job done for either team.
Exactly. The Dolphins need Andrew Luck a lot more than the Colts do, because the Colts do have a quarterback. Yes, Peyton's hurt, but we know Peyton, if he stays healthy, which if he does stay healthy, he'll have 3 or 4 more very successful years. But the Dolphins, Matt Moore and Chad Henne, they've tried to prove themselves over the years. For Matt Moore's done it for Carolina,
yeah.
And he didn't prove himself there, and he lost his spot to Jimmy Clausen. Yeah. And Chad Henne has just been a disappointment coming out of Michigan. I had high hopes for Chad Henne going into that system that he was used to, but I guess it just wasn't working out. But the Colts, I think, could use him, but I don't think that the Colts would actually trade Peyton Manning, even though the NFL is always thinking about the future and the business of their teams.
There's no way.
And even before Henne got hurt this season, his numbers were high. Dolphins were losing games, but his numbers were high coming out of the games.
Yeah, he's not a terrible quarterback, but he's definitely not a franchise quarterback. The thing that makes Andrew Luck so good, he really reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers. He's obviously can get the job done with his arm, pick apart your defense, but he's deceptively quick. Aaron Rodgers has no trouble picking up the first down with his legs.
Uh-huh.
And the same thing with Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck can make something out of nothing with his legs as well as his arm.
You're coming out with a lot of good things.
Exactly. Andrew Luck, he has all the tools to be an NFL quarterback. He's in that pro system now in Stanford. Jim Harbaugh, he left him with a great system, and they've also coached him in such a great system that Andrew Luck knows and will play in the NFL and have a great idea of how the system works.
Speaking of Jim Harbaugh, you think there's any possibility that he will reunite with Andrew Luck? Maybe going with the 49ers the next season? What do you guys think?
That'd be a really good situation, I think. Obviously reuniting with a coach he liked a lot. But looking at the 49ers, they're doing pretty well this year. They're not doing bad. They have Alex Smith, a quarterback. He's proven himself, I think, as a pretty good quarterback. But, I think he really gets the job done if he sticks there for a couple more years. I really don't think they should really go after Luck. I think they need help elsewhere in other positions. So,
just real quick, why do you think maybe the Rams would get him? What are some ideas people think that they would get Andrew Luck?
No, obviously Sam Bradford's still young. The Rams really had high hopes for him, gave him a monster contract. But, he's getting hurt a lot. His numbers really aren't good. And people I think he's still good, but he doesn't have really that talent around him. So he's really pinpointed on him, all the pressure. He's got to lead the team. And he hasn't shown it yet. So, there's rumors out there that maybe the Rams go after him, but I don't think that's the case.
I mean, Bradford's, like you said, Bradford's still young. He's still got a whole career ahead of him. That's all we have time for right now. When we come back, we will have more on this year's top college quarterbacks to look at on College Game Days.
4 wide receivers, 7 wide back to pass. Throws the ball, and it's going to be intercepted by Roddy Drees. Drees has a cakewalk into the end zone, and Drees brings it in for the touchdown. What a turn of events, folks.
And welcome back to the Rain Delay, everyone. Once again, I'm your host, Mike Giannini. Along with me is Justin Avedissian and Nick DeCicco. And we start off our first segment with Andrew Luck, and we already know that he's getting drafted in the first round, probably the first pick, too. Mm-hmm. There are other quarterbacks that are probably as good as him, but actually, I take that back. No one's as good as him right now, but there's people below him that could also get the job done. Let's start off with Matt Barkley at a USC, true freshman, I'm sorry.
Matt Barkley started as a true freshman at USC. Especially anywhere you go, trying to start as a true freshman, it's pretty tough, and especially at USC, that's a great accomplishment. I think I'd probably put him. He's the third best quarterback in this year's draft. Pro-styled offense like Andrew Luck at Stanford. Got a great arm. He can move a little bit too, but he's not really big on running. But I think he could definitely get the job done somewhere in the NFL.
I mean, especially if he gets drafted early in the draft. I mean, at least it gives him something to look forward to because USC isn't able to get into a bowl game.
Exactly. I mean, USC with fines that Lane Griffin has put on them by just getting recruiting violations, it just made them in a horrible spot. But anyway, we'll go to Kellen Moore. I mean, Kellen Moore from Boise State is absolutely, I think, is a great quarterback. He doesn't have the size. We all know that. But his arm's great. He's very smart. Studies film beyond belief. And he doesn't lose. The kid does not lose football games. And for people that think that he's not going to get drafted, even in the 3rd or 4th round, I think they know absolutely nothing about football because this kid is absolutely a great talent in college football.
Yeah. Studies the film like Peyton Manning. He's got great dedication. I'll be the first one to knock the WAC conference. I mean, you don't play anybody, but I mean, still, wins are wins in college football, where anybody can beat anybody. And I think just the dedication alone will get him drafted, probably 3rd, 4th round.
Absolutely, and I mean, they do play some good teams. Like they played Georgia, they played Virginia Tech last year. I mean, they don't just play the WAC.
Yeah,
they do go out.
You can't compare it to the Pac-12 or the SEC.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Great opponent every week.
Absolutely not. But there's still the talent that they have to go out there and win games, and that's what Kellen Moore does. He gets out there in front and wins the game.
Let me interrupt you guys with something. Robert Griffin out of Baylor. Justin, give me a little insight on that.
Robert Griffin, really doing a great job at Baylor. Beginning of the year, started off with a bang. Still doing a great job carrying that team. Really, when you look at football in Texas, Baylor's not the first team to come to mind. It's Texas A&M. He's doing a great job putting that team on the map. And that team's no joke. I think they're a pretty solid team.
Absolutely. Baylor, they've come really back on the map, as you said just before. I mean, Robert Griffin had more touchdowns and incompletions at one point of the season. He's a great talent, and people were seeing this coming, but they didn't realize how much of an impact he can actually have on a team like that. Also about Landry Jones, great quarterback. He I actually think is right under Andrew Luck, if anybody.
Yeah.
If not, Matt Barkley is the next one under him. He makes his reads great. He's a great arm, good solid team around him, which helps him out obviously. But he also makes the other guys better on the team, and he's just a great talent to have on a team.
Yeah, he's got everything. He got great size, great arm. He doesn't really make a lot of mistakes. Any team that drafts him, definitely, he could give a run-in for the starting position.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%.
What about John Brantley coming out of Florida?
Well, Brantley, I have to kind of feel bad for. I mean, the situation he was put in, I mean, it was almost inevitable. Oh, sorry, I can't even speak today. That he was going to fail. I mean, the kid has to be right behind Tim Tebow, one of the greatest college quarterbacks or greatest college players ever to play the game, and try to be in the SEC on top of that, be nationally ranked, and it's just a hard task for him to go. But he does have a good arm. He has good size. It's just unfortunate the situation he was in to start off with.
Yeah. One of, like, I guess you can say the sleepers, Case Keenum out of Houston. Not many people may know him. Just recently threw for 9 touchdowns in one game, 5-to-1 receiver. I mean, even though he does play for Houston, he does have the most touchdown passes in major FBS football, college football. I mean, even fifth round pick maybe.
Maybe a little.
He's definitely worth taking a shot on. And last, Nick Foles out of Arizona, I think has the best arm in college football.
Exactly.
He's a little inconsistent. At times he'll look great. Other times he'll miss an open receiver. But I think he'll be all right.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, I'm going to have to cut you off. I'm sorry, Nick.
It's all right.
But everyone at home thinks we're only concentrating on the college quarterbacks. Well, when we come back, we'll have more on the other college players in the NCAA.
And that's the game. That is the game. Your Wayne Hills Patriots beat the Northern Highlanders 4-1. There was pandemonium at Patriot Stadium. Wayne Hills 4, Northern Highlands 1. A great game by both teams, but obviously Wayne Hills coming out on top.
Break out that tarp. We're back with more rain delay. For those of you just tuning in, I'm Mike Giannini. Along with me are Nick DeCicco and Justin Avedissian. And we're starting out this segment with the top players in college football right now. Let's start off with Matt Khalil, Justin, the offensive tackle out of USC.
Yeah, Khalil's got everything you want out of an offensive lineman. Great size, great strength. And, I really think he's going to be looks like he's going to be the number 2 pick in the draft behind Andrew Luck. If the Dolphins get the 1 pick, the Colts could definitely use an offensive tackle. That's really what they're going to aim for in the draft. So Colts would be a good fit for him.
What about Alshon Jeffrey, wide receiver out of South Carolina?
He's very fast, very physical. I believe he's either a senior or junior this year. He has great hands. He knows everything that a wide receiver should know in college right now. He has great potential for every position he can play. But wide receiver is going to be a great thing for him, and he's a great teammate, as people say, and that's all I have on Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, with a lot of weight's going to be on his shoulders. Everyone knows what he can do. He's a big play threat. And without Lattimore in the backfield and Garcia at quarterback, he's really the best player they got left. So, a lot of eyes on him.
Let's talk about the running back coming out of Alabama, Trent Richardson.
Trent, he has all the tools in the running back. He runs hard. He can receive the ball well out of the backfield. He's very fast, very explosive. He's a leader on the team. He is really one of the premier backs, I can say, in college football right now. And when he gets into the NFL, he's going to be one of those backs that everyone's going to be thinking of.
Yeah, we all saw what we can do last year. Him and Ingram, the best 1-2 punch in the country. Before the season, everyone had high hopes, and I think he's living up to them. And like Nick said, he's a great physical runner. And I think he'll have some success in the NFL.
All right, so let's go to the next 2 wide receivers we got, who's left on the offensive side of the ball on our list. Quentin Colps, Justin Blackmon, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, again, saw what he can do last year. Really a big play maker. I think he's the best receiver. I'd take him as the first receiver in this year's draft. Like I said, you saw what he did last year. He's got Brandon Whedon, I think 26, 27-year-old quarterback. Really like his size, his strength, and the ability to get open. And, anywhere he goes, he'll be a great fit.
Nick, talk to me about Michael Floyd, wide receiver out of Notre Dame.
Well, Michael Floyd, he's one of the best wide receivers to ever come through Notre Dame. He's an absolute phenomenal player. He has great hands. He's big. He's physical. He runs hard. He's a leader. He's a senior this year. And in the beginning of the season, when I was watching him play, he made some unbelievable plays that the Irish hasn't had in a while.
Yeah. Floyd really, a big threat on their offense. They got instability at quarterback with Dan Christ. Never know who's really going to be the starter. So he's really the leader of the offense. But I really like what he does out there. He's not a big, strong, physical guy. Doesn't drop too many passes, and I think he'll be pretty good in the NFL.
All right, now let's move on to the defensive side of the ball. We have Quentin Culps, a defensive end out of North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina. I think last year they had a couple guys on defensive line. They had one of the better defensive line, and they got in trouble. So, But Quentin Culps, big force, great size, great strength, and he's going to give any offensive lineman he goes up against, he's going to have a long day.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, exactly. He flies off the ball. He's very fast. He's very physical. He's very good at getting pressure on the quarterback. He's a good run stopper. He just plays football, not overpowering people, but he plays with his brain a little bit. He's very tactical in what he does.
Now, last but not least, Morris Claiborne, the cornerback out of LSU.
Yeah. He's up there with Matthew, his teammate, who's, if he wasn't a sophomore, I think would be one of the top defensive players coming out of the draft. But Claiborne, he's shown what he can do. He's got great speed, always hangs with receivers, and he'll be a good pickup in the NFL.
Exactly. He has all the tools that a cornerback could have. He has size. He has speed. He actually reminds me a little bit of Darrelle Revis. I mean, that's another class. I mean, I understand.
Completely different class.
Very different class. But he has the tools to become like that.
Yeah.
He's very technical on the side of the defense, and he does everything he can.
And you also got to remember that he's playing in the SEC, so he's locking down a lot of the some big time receivers in that conference. So, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna have to cut you guys off. That's all for this segment of the rain delay. Don't go anywhere. The rain delay will be back in a minute.
And that's the game. That is the game. Your Wayne Hills Patriots beat the Northern Highlanders 4-1. There was pandemonium at Patriot Stadium. Wayne Hills 4, Northern Highlands 1. A great game by both teams, but obviously Wayne Hills coming out on top.
Welcome back to the Rain Delay. I'm Nick DeCicco, and this is Justin Avedissian. Justin, we're going to talk about the AFC and the standings in the way right now. What do you think about the AFC East right now?
AFC East, is one of my favorite divisions in football to watch and pay attention to. The Jets have been a little bit disappointing this year. I know you're a huge Jet fan. They're not really. They don't remind me of Jets years in the past. Like last couple of years, when they had those pretty good runs. I really think Sanchez needs to throw the ball a little bit more, even though I don't think he's the best passer in the world. So really just instability there. I think, the Bills, they're so far they look great, and on their weeks you're like, come on. They had a pretty tough game against the Jets, but I think until the Jets become in order for the Jets to become one of those legitimate teams like the Patriots, you're going to have to win big games. You can't just beat the Patriots one week and lose to the Jets the next week. You have to, keep winning. So I don't give the Bills any credit, really. The Dolphins, what can you say about the Dolphins? Disappointment.
Well, they really have been a disappointment. I mean, they definitely have the talent to win games. Sparano, I think, as a coach, he's a good coach, but this year they're just having a rough go. I mean, the team hasn't certainly by no means quit on Sparano. They're playing hard, and they won a game so far.
One game, but
they have a game right now.
Yeah, I still think they need help everywhere.
They need help everywhere. Exactly.
Especially, I don't know why. I mean, obviously you don't go out there trying to lose, but I mean, if you're the Dolphins, how could you not want Andrew Luck? So I don't know what they're trying to do, but
well, maybe if the Colts play a little bit of Peyton Manning, maybe they won't have to worry about just winning one or two games.
And Patriots, I mean,
the Pats. But
pretty much.
They're just having a rough go, having a 2-game losing streak right now. I mean, the Jets, they're on I believe it's 3-game win streak right now. Yeah 3-game win streak. And the Jets' run game has come back. I mean, since Mangold has been hurt the first couple weeks, they fell out of sync, the offensive line. But now I think with him back in there, They actually showed some explosiveness over the Bills. I mean, they really
Yeah.
killed the Bills in the
Yeah.
last meeting.
We're
they
going
had.
back to the Patriots real quick. Patriots, they're a team. I really don't care what their record is. If they get into the postseason, I don't think it matters. I mean, they're gonna be one of the favorites to win it every year.
Exactly. All right, let's move to the AFC North. I mean, this is probably the biggest division next maybe to the AFC East, but they have the two biggest teams right now in there.
Yeah, Ravens, Steelers, definitely one of the better rivalries in the game. Always play each other tough. It's really just a backyard brawl when those two teams go at it. I think at the end of the year, I think it's going to be the Ravens. All the preseason hype, a lot of people taking them to go to the Super Bowl. I think I bought into that hype. Flacco, I think, is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Starting to really mature now. Ray Rice, as dominant as he gets at running back. And Quan Bolden, I mean, he's
good.
He's a great receiver, too. And they have a solid offensive line. So I think they can get it done in the postseason, too, when you need to pound the rock. Steelers are good every year, like the Patriots. Ben Roethlisberger,
You can't really do anything wrong. I mean, there's not a bigger quarterback than
no.
Maybe Cam Newton has a little bit of size, but not like him.
Browns, I mean,
The
not much to say about the Browns. I mean, they're still
Colt
the same
McCoy,
old Browns.
that's really the only thing you can think about
I
him.
think Colt McCoy will still have a decent future. I think he's solid. They just need more help in the upcoming drafts to really get some talent around them.
Exactly.
Bengals, I think they have a chance to be pretty solid. It's not bad.
To me, the Bengals always have an on-off year. They always have a good year, then a horrible year, then another good year. Like last year, they weren't that great of a team, but this year now they picked it up again, and now I believe they're actually leading the division. They're playing great football as of right now. The Ravens, Steelers, they're always going to be great games. I mean, except in the first season opener where the Ravens just blew out the Steelers, and no one saw that coming.
Yeah.
But then the last meeting they had, the Ravens won in the last couple seconds.
I think I got to give a lot of credit to Lewis, coach Marvin Lewis. Losing the whole controversy with Carson Palmer.
Exactly.
And I think Dalton's really done a great job of stepping in at quarterback. Gresham at tight end's a young emerging player. He's going to be great. So I think the Bengals have a decent future.
Exactly. All right, let's go to the AFC West right now. The AFC West, I mean, it hasn't been one of the most competitive divisions lately.
Worst division in football.
Well, next maybe the Cardinals division, but this right now in the AFC, definitely the worst. The Chiefs, they had a good year last year, but now they had a lot of injuries, not having the best season they could.
Yeah.
The Raiders, well, they're picked it up this year with Darren McFadden being a big runner this year, but Jason Campbell got hurt. But now they picked up Carson Palmer, who's seemed in his last start pretty good. I mean, 3 touchdowns, a couple interceptions, but for a guy that just came back into the rotation, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I think the Chiefs were in a decent, pretty solid team, but without Jamal Charles, it's really going to hurt them. So.
All right, Justin, I'm sorry, I got to cut you off there. Join us back in the rain delay when we talk about the NFC and all their divisions.
High formation for the Patriots right now, and the fans are on their feet. Monahan, look at that, he's back in the pocket, and he's going for Greg Olsen, and he got it! He got it! Touchdown, Patriots! Touchdown, Patriots!
Welcome back to the rain delay. We're going to talk about the NFC now, and we're going to start off right with the NFC East. Justin, there's a lot of competitiveness with this division. I mean, every single year, it's probably one of the most competitive divisions in football. You have the Giants, the Eagles, the Redskins, and also the Cowboys. Who are your favorites right now going into this?
I think the Giants end up walking away with this division. Really, so much inconsistency with their other 3 teams there, the Eagles, the Redskins, and the Cowboys. Giants have really been the only team that have been pretty stable, I guess, in that division. The Eagles, just most disappointing team in football by far.
They've been up and down this whole entire season, but
I mean,
in the beginning of the season, I couldn't even stand to watch them anymore.
Vince Young saying they're a dream team, and that's just I can't believe it. Redskins, early they looked really good.
They beat the Giants in the first week. I thought the Redskins actually had a good season coming up.
But what kills the Redskins is I think as a player, you really need to know who your quarterback's going to be, who's really going to lead your team. And with Beck and Grossman, week to week, they really don't know who's going to be their quarterback. Exactly. So I think that's what they need to improve mostly. And the Cowboys haven't been terrible, a little inconsistent too. But I mean, they were. It's not like they're getting blown out. They're hanging in games. They have to find that way to close games out.
Exactly.
Which
In
a
the
lot of
fourth
great
quarter,
teams know how to do.
in the fourth quarter, the Cowboys have lost the games. I mean, they've won a game against the 49ers in overtime with a great play, but they don't know really how to close out and win the games. The Redskins, 100%, they need to know who a real quarterback is,
and
especially if one guy does one bad game.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah,
you can't just bench him.
For the Cowboys, I'm going to put a lot of the blame on Tony Romo because I'm not a huge fan of him to start. But I really think you need to. I think Tony Romo really needs to step his game up and start leading his team to victories.
Exactly. Anyway, maybe we're going to get a chance for a Harborough Super Bowl over here going to the NFC West. Starting out with the 49ers. What do you think of them this season?
They have one loss, so, I mean, they're obviously doing a great job. Harbaugh doing a great job stepping in as the head coach. Alex Smith really proven he can get the job done. Years past, everyone's noticed his talent, but really hasn't been able to get the wins like a good quarterback would.
Exactly.
But he's finally starting to get it now. He didn't have the greatest talent last couple of years, but he's really starting to get the wins now, and they're proving they're one of the best teams in football.
Exactly. The 49ers, great quarterback play by Alex Smith. The defense is keeping them in games. Special teams has been a huge factor. I mean, Tony Ginn Jr. Ted Ginn, sorry, has been a great returner for him, and he's just been explosive. Going to the Seahawks, kind of a disappointing team with everything. But what do you think about the Seahawks?
Seahawks, preseason, I thought they had a lot of hype. I mean, Tavares Jackson to me is definitely disappointing. Everyone talking about how he's going to get his new start and really get a chance to lead. But I mean, I still think the Seahawks are a couple years away yet from being at least a contender in that division.
Exactly. I mean, I really do believe this is probably the worst division in football, excluding the 49ers from this. I don't think any team in here is really a winner anymore. The Rams last year had an okay season. I mean, in that division, it was a very good season, but they went 8-8. But now this year, they're not doing good. They only have one win. Bradford, he hasn't had a great year by any means. Defense hasn't been good except against the Saints when they had that spectacular win. It was 31-21, I believe. I just don't see the Rams being anywhere in the next couple of years, except if Bradford gets some supporting help on the outside. Yeah,
that's about it. I mean, a lot of people think Bradford, hasn't lived up to his
hype.
His hype, exactly. But I really think receivers. He has Danny Amendola.
I don't even know the kids' names.
I mean, if he gets help, I think he'll be the Sam Bradford that people used to see and expected him to become. So,
going to the last but not least, the Cardinals. They got a quarterback. Last year they were very inconsistent at the position last year with the loss of Kurt Warner. They had Anderson, who is not really a good quarterback. I mean, good arm, but not a good quarterback. But now they have Cobb. They have Larry Fitzgerald as a running back. I mean, as a wide receiver. I'm sorry. Oh man, I'm losing today. But they could be very good. I just think they need better run game to support the passing game.
I think the running game's actually decent with Beanie Wells. But Cobb is supposed to do great things for them. Hasn't really lived up to it yet. But I think they really need to concentrate in this draft this year on focusing on defense. I think their offense will be okay if they just add one or two more guys. But I think their defense is really what's hurting them.
Exactly. All right. Let's go to the NFC North right now. Of course, you have the Packers, the Bears, and now the Lions. This year, the Vikings, though, have had an off year.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Packers? I mean, you really can't say anything bad about them.
Going to the Super Bowl, that's all you can say. No doubt.
No doubt in your mind?
I don't think anybody could stop them, really. When that offense gets clicking, Aaron Rodgers, pretty much unstoppable. And I think the biggest surprise, probably the Lions. I mean, from the past Lions that we've come to know, and this year really just doing a great job. Calvin Johnson really showing what he can do, and he's an elite receiver in the league.
All right, Jess, I'm going to have to cut you off right there. Join us next time on The Rain Delay, and have a great day.
Welcome to The Rain Delay, bringing you the latest in the world of sports. I'm your host, Josh Mordkoff, sitting alongside our co-host, Alex Green, here to bring you our Super Bowl preview. This Sunday, February 5th, is the big day, and the New York Giants and the New England Patriots will square off at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Let's first talk Giants offense. Alex, you're a big Giants fan. What's their offense looking like for this Sunday?
Well, for as long as I can remember, the Giants have always been a run-first team, but I think that changed up this season. Eli Manning almost over 5,000 yards. Can we cue the graphic for the offensive leaders? Right there you see Eli Manning threw for 4,933 yards passing, and the running game, slacked off a bit. It was actually last in the league in yards per game, but both Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs combined for over 1,200 yards, so that's still pretty decent. And you have Victor Cruz who's the second year wide receiver out of Massachusetts, also from Paterson, New Jersey, the next town over, had a Giants single season record, 1,536 yards receiving. So, they really passed a lot more than I thought they would, and I think they're going to rely on that a lot more heavily than they normally would. Like in the 2007 Super Bowl, they tried running a lot more. Like it wasn't Eli Manning's team. This time it's Eli Manning's team.
And, even though they weren't the best running team in the league this year, Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs can still get it done. Those short yardage gains, pounded into the end zone, they're definitely a really good pair to have in that situation.
In the first matchup against the Patriots when the Giants won 24-20, Bradshaw didn't even play because he just hurt his foot. Now he's been playing on a stress fracture in his foot for the past few weeks. And he's been running pretty effectively, taking some days off practice. But in the playoffs, the Giants have been running a lot more effectively than they had for the regular season. And I think if the Giants can continue that trend, they can win this game.
Now, Alex, let's take a closer look at Eli Manning and the throwing game.
You're going to see Eli right there had his best statistical season. He almost broke 5,000 passing yards, as I said, completed 61% of the balls. He had 29 touchdowns to 15 interceptions, which is very different from last year. He threw 25 or 26 interceptions. So he cut down the interceptions, and he had an NFL record 15 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. So more than half of his touchdowns came in the fourth quarter, and he had 4 or 5 fourth quarter comebacks. So that just tells you how clutch of a quarterback he was this season. And he's been playing really well with 8 touchdowns and 1 interception in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, Eli Manning is definitely hot right now. What specifically do you think he's going to have to do to really step it up for the big game?
He's got to keep doing what he's doing. He's been really controlling the ball really well. He's had, like I said, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception in the 3 games, in 3 playoff games he's played, like 300 yards in each game. He's been playing really fantastically. And if he can limit the turnovers, get back up from the sacks like he did last game, just keep throwing, keep finding his receivers, and if they can get open and run after the catch, the Giants should win this game.
Let's take a look at the second part of the throwing equation, Manning's targets and his receivers out in the field.
Like I mentioned, Victor Cruz had over 1,500 yards and 9 touchdowns receiving. That was a Giant single-season record, and he's 25 years old, second year. So really, his breakout season, no one saw him coming, and he really catalyzed the Giants in the second to last game of the season, against the Jets, where he had the big 99-yard touchdown, which sent them to the win, and then now another 4 straight wins to the Super Bowl. Hakeem Nicks has been huge in the postseason. He had 2 touchdowns in each of the first 2 playoff games. You have Mario Manningham up there, who has had 1 touchdown in each of his last 3 playoff games, but didn't have that great of a regular season. And you have Jake Ballard, who is a big tight end, sort of unheralded. The Giants were concerned when they lost their big tight end, Kevin Boss, to the Raiders, but he's really come up big, and he had a huge game, including the game-winning touchdown in the first time the Giants played the Patriots in the regular season.
Yeah, Manning definitely has his options, and they've been playing great all season and great in this playoff run thus far. So, Alex, let's sum this all up now with your keys for Sunday's game. Let's take a look at that.
Well, Josh, I think first, and you see it there, is the offensive line. They got to step up because last week, don't get me wrong, the 49ers have one of the best run defense, probably the best run defense in the league. So no one expected the Giants to be able to run that much, and they still ran decently for 70-something yards. That's pretty solid. But Eli Manning was sacked 6 times, and that's unacceptable. Don't get me wrong, again, the 49ers have a great pass rush with their 2 Smiths, Justin and Alden, but the offensive line needs to play better. They can't allow 6 sacks again. They need to cut down on the sacks, 1 maybe 2 most. But Eli got back up last week and led the Giants to a victory, but I don't want to see that happen again. Onto the other keys. Giants got to run the ball effectively. They haven't been doing that. They hadn't done that in the regular season, but they've been doing that in the playoffs, and it's really been helpful. You got yards after the catch, like I said. If the Giants can, and they've been doing it all season, Hakeem Nicks Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz have been, running after the catch, 74 yards, 99 yards, 60-something yards, tons of big touchdown receptions with yards after the catch. If they can keep doing that, they're good. And limit turnovers. You don't want to have any turnovers. No fumbling, no interceptions, and I think that's pretty obvious.
Definitely, Alex. You seem to have the right idea for what the Giants have to do this weekend. But that's all the time we have for now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the Giants' defensive analysis. More rain delay after the break.
High formation for the Patriots right now, and the fans are on their feet. Monahan, look at that, he's back in the pocket, and he's going for Greg Olsen, and he caught it! He got it! Touchdown, Patriots! Touchdown, Patriots!
We're back with the Rain Delay Super Bowl 46 preview. For those of you just tuning in, I'm your host, Josh Mordkoff, next to your co-host, Alex Green. We've already discussed the Giants' offense. Let's shift gears and move on to the defensive game. What did the G-men have to do on the other side of the ball to secure the win this Sunday?
Well, Josh, it's been a very up-and-down season for the Giants' defense. My good friend Nick DeCicco told me that, and he correctly told me, I should say, that the Giants' defense really started off the season, pretty decently. Started with a 6-2 record. In the middle of the season, it really faltered. They played some tougher teams, let up a lot of points. They're actually the first team to ever make the Super Bowl by allowing more points than they scored. So, but the last 5 games, or the last 2 games of regular season, the last 3 games they've played in the playoffs, the Giants even played fantastically. Really well, like 13 points a game they've let up, and they've been getting a lot of sacks, and that's going to be the key. Can we see the Giants' defensive graphic? Right there, you see the Giants had 48 sacks, which is second in the NFL, which is very typical of them because they have a great, front 4 and pass rush. But they were 27th in total defense, like I mentioned, and 29th in pass defense, which is bad against Tom Brady, who's one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But a good thing was they were tied 7th in turnover margin in the NFL. So even though they let up a lot of points, they do seem to create a lot of turnovers, and I think that's, really propelled them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Giants' defense certainly has come a long way. But let's get more further into this and take a look at the specifics, and let's see the defensive leaders.
Well, Josh, we're going to look at sacks, and you're going to see Jason Pierre-Paul, the second-year man out at University of South Florida, really stepped up this season, made it to the Pro Bowl. He's an All-Pro, 16.5 sacks. Really the big guy. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. The big sack guy on a lot of huge, ton of really great defensive players. Excuse me. I mean, you have Pierre-Paul, you have Justin Tuck, your defensive captain, Osi Umenyiora, and all these other players. Interceptions, you have Corey Webster, who was second in the NFL, or tied second in the NFL with 6. And Antrell Roll, who's your loudmouth of your team, but he puts up with it for his play on the field. He has 96 tackles to lead the team.
And as a whole, the Giants' defense is a force to be reckoned with. We've seen what they can do throughout the entire season and certainly the playoffs, shutting down, the past couple teams. But now let's take a look at the front 4. That's going to be a big deal in getting to Tom Brady.
I didn't know how to say it before, but like I mentioned, the front 4 has been absolutely fantastic, especially the past 5 games, getting a lot of sacks. Pierre-Paul, like I mentioned, was All-Pro. He had 16.5 sacks, which is top 5 in the NFL. Osi Umenyiora only played in 9 games this season. He was injured, but he's averaging a sack a game, and he's been playing really fantastically in the playoffs. Justin Tuck had an off year. He's been battling a ton of injuries, toe, shoulder, all these injuries, and he managed 5 sacks in 12 games. And he's putting up with these injuries and he's dealing with them, and you can guarantee he'll say he'll be 100% for the Super Bowl. And you have some unsung guys. You have Dave Tollefson, who's not always a starter, sort of came out of nowhere, but he had 5 sacks this season, the same as Tuck. And Chris Canty, your big defensive tackle, has really been getting through, pushing the center down and getting the quarterback. He had 4 sacks.
And, Justin Tuck's a guy, although the stats don't show how, intimidating he is, he'll get pumped up for the Super Bowl, and he'll really bring a big force that the Patriots are going to have to deal with.
Well, mid-season, I'm sorry to cut you off. Mid-season, the Giants were going through that crisis where they were 6-2 and then fell to 7-7, and every game was an elimination game. And Tuck was battling injuries and missing practice, and Antrell Roll, who led the team in tackles, was like, our guys got to put away these minor injuries and got to practice. And Tuck used to really not be that vocal of a leader, just, people would follow his example, but, he's really stepped up, opened his mouth, and now the team's in the Super Bowl. So I think whatever the Giants defense has been doing, whatever Perry Field, the defensive coordinator, has been telling this defense to do, has been working perfectly the last 5 weeks.
Now let's take a look at the defensive keys for this Sunday's game.
So my first defensive key is the D-line, and that includes the pass rush, as you'll see number 2. The pass rush is really important because they got to get to Tom Brady. You don't want to allow Tom Brady to have a lot of time in the pocket because he's going to burn you. He has great receivers, Wes Welker, Deion Branch, huge tight ends, and Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. But also, they're not a one-dimensional team, the Patriots. You need to stop the run, too. Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis can run the ball, and, Chris Canty, the big defensive tackle, and the rest of the D-line, is going to need to stop the run also. You have, in the secondary has been really hurt all season. They lost their best corner, Terrell Thomas, and a lot of other players. The Giants have had 14 players on injured reserve. Wow. So it's a lot of players. But the secondary's been playing a lot better as of recently. Aaron Ross has stepped up. Corey Webster, who had 6 interceptions, has really been stepping up. So if they can continue playing well, they're going to get a lot of opportunities to intercept the ball, deflect passes, because the Patriots are going to pass a lot more than they run. So they need to play well if they want it. If the Giants need to win this game. And lastly, you got to create turnovers. The Giants were +7 in turnover differential, as I mentioned. They do let up a lot of yards, but they can let up a lot of yards, and they probably will because the Patriots are a very good offense. But if they can create turnovers, force fumbles, force Tom Brady into bad situations and bad throws, the yards don't matter as long as they get the ball and can put points on the board.
Thank you, Alex. Now that's all the time we have for now. Don't touch that remote. Mike, Justin, and Nick will be back with more Rain Delay.
4 wide receivers set wide back to pass. Throws the ball, and it's going to be intercepted by Roddy Drees. Drees has a cakewalk into the end zone, and Drees brings it in for the touchdown. What a turn of events, folks.
Welcome back to the Rain Delay, everyone. I'm your host, Mike Giannini, and sitting beside me are my co-hosts, Justin Avedissian and Nick DeCicco. It's time to talk about the AFC champions, the New England Patriots. This probably isn't my favorite team, gotta say. I am a Giants fan, but since we lost the rock, paper, scissors, shoe battle to Alex and Josh, we gotta do what we gotta do. We're gonna start out this segment with the Patriots defense. Justin, give us a little background on the Patriots defense.
Patriots, when you think of the Patriots, you always think, like when they were going through their great runs, defense really was the key to their success. This year, however, not so much of the success. They're finishing, I think, 31st in a lot of the major statistics. And let's take a look at the graphic.
We see that they're the 31st in pass defense, 31st place. They're 17th in rushing defense. They have played big. They played a big part in the playoffs.
Exactly. You know what? They remind me a lot of when the Colts won the Super Bowl. I mean, the Colts defense that year wasn't doing that great, but the defensive coordinator, I don't know the gentleman's name, but they found a way to cope and come together as a defense, and they actually made really big strides against, I believe, the Dolphins they played, or the Dolphins.
Chiefs first round.
Chiefs first round? Okay. Trent Green was the quarterback, I believe, back then. I don't even know. But they stopped him. He was a very, very efficient passer back then. And they got the pass rush that they always used to have with Freeney and now with Mathis at the other end. And this defense of the Patriots, yes, their D-line is very good with Will Fork in the middle. I mean, he's just a force to be reckoned with at all times. They just pulled together in playoffs, and you know what? Sometimes that's when you need a defense to come together. It's just in the playoffs to win your championships.
Something that caught my mind this year definitely has to be the 8 sacks that the defense had. That's usually pretty low comparing to other teams such as the Giants that have a higher sack rate with their defensive line. I mean, why would they have such a low rate?
Well, I mean, they're really stopping the run. I mean, if you look at the size of these guys like Will Fork, Kyle Love, I mean, they're some of the biggest guys in the NFL. They're not that quick, but they're great against the run. And the defense has a couple leaders, and let's look at the graphic. Yeah, Gerard Mayo, 95 tackles, really holds that defense together. Kyle Arrington, 7 picks. He's really I think he's one of the players to watch out for on Sunday. See if he can make a big play, and really one of the unsung, I guess if you want to call him a hero of the Patriots, Andre Carter. Not a household name. But, really does a great job getting to the quarterback, and he's going to have to do it Sunday if the Pats want to win.
Absolutely. I mean, I can actually say the Patriots defense is more like the Giants defense now. I mean, of course, the Giants defensive line is, I believe, much better than, obviously, the Pats defensive line. But the Giants secondary's always been hurt, and so has the Pats. But they do create turnovers. They do everything that they can to prevent points from scoring. I mean, the Jets, Mark Sanchez, we all know, has had his troubles with throwing the ball this year. The Patriots defense was 31st or 32nd, actually, last in the league, and I think Sanchez threw 2 or 3 interceptions in that game because they have to step up and they play in big games. That's why the Patriots have always won in Super Bowls. I mean, they just step up into the bigger games.
Yeah, I guess so, Nick. Well, let's key to the next graphic, which is the Patriots D-line.
Yeah, like right there, Vince Wilfork, just solid guy over his career. He's got 52 tackles, 3.5 sacks. Andre Carter, like I said before, 52 tackles, 10 sacks. Kyle Love, 33 tackles, 3 sacks, and the former Jet, Sean Ellis.
Oh man,
not playing great, but not playing great,
man.
but it's that leadership that you need if you really want to win the Super Bowl. You're gonna need a couple guys with a lot of experience to get. The Patriots are one of the youngest defenses in the league. They're gonna be great in a couple of years, but you need a guy like Ellis there to get everybody together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sean Ellis, when he was with the Jets, he was basically the heart and soul of the D-line over there. He was a great pass rusher. He did everything right, and when he went to the Patriots, I was not only sad but very shocked because I don't get why he would go to the Patriots. But I mean, you do have Tom Brady, and you always have the chance of going to the Super Bowl every year. And they are young, like Justin you just said, but they definitely have a bright future. But they need to stay healthy because a lot of their young players, even though they are young, athletic, and strong, they are getting hurt very often. Last year they had problems with staying healthy. This year, again, they're having a lot of problems staying healthy. And it's just getting a repeated theme with them. But they are recuperating, they are getting better, and they're getting stronger and more experienced. So they are going to be very good in the next couple of years.
All right, now it's time to take a look at the Patriots' defensive keys in order to win Super Bowl 46.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, I know Eli can hurt you bad, but you can't let Bradshaw and Jacobs run all over you. You're really going to have to stop the run because that's really where the Giants start. They're going to run at you until you pack the box, and then let Eli throw all over you, the Knicks. Second thing, you have to it's like the Giants' game plan this week against the Patriots. You got to get to the quarterback. And if you're going to let Eli sit back there, he's going to pick you apart. And another big thing, like any other big game, you have to win the turnover battle. If you're losing the turnover battle, I don't think you have much of a chance to win, especially in the Super Bowl where momentum's going to be so high. And, they really – and I think the last thing the Patriots have to do is you can't let Hakeem Nicks get in the game. He's a guy who could absolutely just take over, like at halftime in the Packer game where he comes down with the Hail Mary pass. I mean, even with double coverage, this guy can still make some catches, so you really got to shut him down.
Yep.
Absolutely. Like I said before, the Giants and the Patriots, I believe, are kind of the identical teams. Both have great quarterbacks. Both have weaker defenses, but have been playing very well in the playoffs. Receiving core for the Patriots is a little bit older, but very, very more experienced than the Giants' receiving core. But the receiving core for the Giants is very more athletic, very more star-stricken, and going to have a great future.
Nick, going to have to cut you off. Stick around. We'll have more about the Patriots when we come back, as well as our personal picks for who will have the victory in Super Bowl 46.
And that's the game! That is the game! Your Wayne Hills Patriots beat the Northern Highlanders 4-1. There was pandemonium at Patriot Stadium. Wayne Hills 4, Northern Highlands 1. A great game by both teams, but obviously Wayne Hills coming out on top.
Welcome back to the Range Delay, everyone. For those of us just tuning in now, I'm Mike Giannini. Along with me is Justin Avedissian and Nick DeCicco. Guys, we're going to turn it over to the offense now. Let's take a look at the Patriots' offensive leaders. Well, you see Tom Brady's got 65.6 completion percentage. He's got 5,235 yards, 39 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions.
Yeah, well, obviously, Patriots, you think Tom Brady. All the great success he's had in the last couple of years. But, he really has struggled of late, especially in the postseason. And, he especially got a chip on his shoulder from the last time they met the Patriots in the Super Bowl. So I expect him to do huge things. And same with Wes Welker. I mean, you think slot receiver, you think Wes Welker. Mismatch for anybody that covers him. And, I really think Deion Branch, too, has to have a big game in order for the Patriots to win.
Absolutely, Justin. You're completely right with that. Let's go to the graphic with Wes Welker's effectiveness and Deion Branch. Thank you. Well, you see, as the power receiver, Wes Welker has 122 catches. He's 90 touchdowns, and he has a 99-yard long TD, sadly, against the Jets. That was obviously the worst thing in my life. But Wes Welker, he's the best in the business at slot receiver. He's quick routes. He breaks tackles. He's a tough little guy. And you know what? He doesn't drop the ball at all. And when he's hurt, he doesn't care. He just keeps on playing. Branch, well, we all know how Deion Branch and Brady won Super Bowls together. Branch, he was unbelievable in those 3 of the 4 years when they went on that run. It just shows when Branch and Brady are on the same page, they are probably the most untouchable two people together, especially in the experience that they both share in the Super Bowl together.
Yeah, and obviously also with the Patriots, with the emergence of Gronkowski, the tight end, just the best tight end in the league. And, he's just so physical. He's big, strong, fast, great hands. And Aaron Hernandez, I think, is also a really good tight end. He actually got a couple carries last couple weeks. So they really, I think they really have to do a good job at making up new schemes, getting him involved. So the Giants defense get confused a little bit.
Now let's go into Tom Brady. According to Doug Schweibel, who's back in the control room, he says that Tom Brady is only good and will only take the victory in the Super Bowl if he gets a haircut.
Well, in that case, Mike hopefully goes to my brother Louis for a haircut because you know what, he can do a pretty good job. But
let's take a look at the Tom Brady graphic.
Yeah, as you see, Mike, he has 3 Super Bowls. His QB rating is 105.8. I mean, that's just unheard of. Leads the league. He has a 39-12 touchdown to interception rate. He just does everything right. He picks you apart. If you don't get pressure on him, he's going to do everything right. He doesn't take his time. He just relaxes, throws it when it's needed to be, and he's Tom Brady. He wins. He knows how to do it.
Personally, I think this has only happened with short hair. I don't know if you guys agree or what.
Completely false. Doug doesn't know what he's talking about. Come on, let's not kid ourselves. It's Tom Brady here. It's not Tyler Palco. So, it doesn't matter what he's got going on. He's still Tom Brady. And like Nick said, if you don't get pressure on him, he's going to pick you apart, and he's getting another Super Bowl ring.
Now let's go on to the Patriots' offensive keys for a victory in Super Bowl 46. You see the line has to neutralize the pass rush, without a doubt. Brady has to play his game. He's got to watch his interceptions, got to make sure he's got open guys, and they need to establish a run game. They got to get through that defensive line. I mean, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora, everyone else on the Giants' D-line is definitely a key.
Yeah, especially at that right tackle position. They tried Nate Solder last couple weeks, a rookie, not doing a great job. So they got to neutralize that pass rush. Brady's got to play his game, and Ben Jarvis Greenhouse has to get going. And they'll have a good chance.
Let's go into the coaches for both sides on the NFC and the AFC. For AFC, let's talk about Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick has 3 Super Bowl championships, 3 rings. He's got 4 past appearances. His last loss, actually his only loss, was to the New York Giants in 2007. He's 139-53 with the Patriots, and he's got a .724 winning percentage.
Well, I mean, it's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. The combo is deadly. I mean, even when Belichick lost Brady for that one season, they still won 11-5, somehow missing the playoffs. Belichick has just always been a great coach, and when he signed with the Jets for one day and then left us for the Patriots, that kind of sucked, but it's whatever.
I mean, he was with the Giants for 12 years.
That too.
Now going to Tom Coughlin real quick before we close. According to NFL.com, he is one of the most successful coaches in the 87-year history of the team.
I think it's just a great season, especially for him because, last couple of years Giants haven't had their, great expected season they were supposed to have. He's 74-54 at Giants, not too bad. .578 winning percentage, not bad. And he has 1 Super Bowl appearance, and obviously he is 1-0. And
against the New York Giants and Tom Coughlin.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin, great coach. Really happy for him. So we'll see.
All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching our Super Bowl preview. Me, as long as the rest of the Rain Delay crew, wish both teams good luck and hope you all have fun watching the Super Bowl on Sunday the 5th. Welcome to the Rain Delay, folks. I'm your host, Mike Giannini, and along with me are my co-hosts, Justin Avedissian and Nick DeCicco. The New York Giants are Super Bowl 46 world champions. Now, from their victory of 21-17 last Sunday at Lucas Oil Stadium. The Giants have beaten the Patriots twice in the last 4 years. This is also Eli Manning's second time becoming the MVP. The Lombardi Trophy once again returns to New York. Now let's take a look at Eli Manning's statistics from last Sunday.
Yeah, 296 passing yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Really did what he had to do. Controlled the turnover battle, not giving Patriots any second chances with any interceptions. And that was a huge part why they won.
I mean, it surprises me that he didn't throw any interceptions. Usually it's never a Giants game without Eli dropping the ball or even having an interception.
Yeah, well, Eli's really stepped up, especially this postseason. Looking a lot like Peyton, putting balls where they really had to be in tight windows. Mm-hmm. And, he's truly earned the MVP.
Nick, this one's for you. Let's talk about some big game performers from last Sunday.
Well, there's Victor Cruz, big performer. Eli Manning was obviously a big performer there. But the thing was, Blackburn, he was cut from the Giants a couple years ago back. I actually knew Blackburn. He was a family friend. And when he came back, he was really excited, ready to go. And he had a huge pick, knocked down the Hail Mary pass at the end. He became a huge part of the Giants' defense for the whole season. I mean, he was a math teacher at the beginning of the year. Yeah. He came back, and he was a stud the whole entire season. Victor Cruz, big game, big catches, and the story for Victor.
Yeah, just what Nick said. It's really great to see Victor Cruz do well, from around here. And, unsung hero, Blackburn. I mean, like Nick said, the guy's a math teacher at the beginning of the year. Gets a call and makes a great interception, plays real well, and now he's Super Bowl champion.
Yeah. Let's talk about some title towns going on. We have Pittsburgh Steelers as one of them. We have the New England Patriots as another one. Now, New York the Giants have won 2 Super Bowls throughout the last 4 years. Does this make them a title town?
It's really tough, but I'm going to have to go with, 2 Super Bowls out of 4 years. I mean, that's pretty good. And I still wouldn't put them with the Steelers, or even the Patriots, really. I'd put them a little bit lower than that.
Well, because it's not consecutive.
Yeah, but I guess I would call it a title town. I mean, they deserved it. Beat the Patriots 2 times in the Super Bowl. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the New York Giants, they have, I believe, 3 or 4 Super Bowls now. They're winning Super Bowls 2 of the last 4 years, like you said before. The Patriots, they did it. It was 3 out of 4 years. The Steelers did it also, I think, out of 2 out of 4 years. Even though the Steelers have the most in the NFL with Super Bowl wins, New York has become a new title town for the Lombardi Trophy.
Let's talk about some better tandems. What do you think is better? Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning, or Bill Belichick and Tom Brady?
Even though Giants did win, I'm still going to have to go with Belichick and Brady. Because how much success they've had. Haven't been able to beat the Giants, but, when it's all said and done, when both these guys are done with their careers, Tom Brady's going to go down as one of the best quarterbacks ever, and Belichick may go down, behind Lombardi as the best coach ever. I don't think Eli or Coughlin, when they're done, will go down as one of the greatest of their roles. So.
Yeah, you want to take a look at the tandem graphic real quick?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, I'd take them over Tom Coughlin and Eli Manning any day. I mean, just the time they spent with each other is absolutely incredible. They spent, I don't know exactly how many years, but since 2001, so about 11 years now. So they just know how to play the game right. I mean, the Patriots, no wonder every team always asks, are the Patriots going to win the Super Bowl this year? It's because those two are always on top of the game and always on top of their game at all times. Eli and Coughlin, they got the best of Brady and Belichick the last 2 years, which I'm happy with. I'm a Jet fan, but I can't stand the Patriots winning Super Bowls. So, but, it's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady all the way with that one.
Let's take a look at one of probably, I don't know how you want to call this, I guess brotherly things. Eli Manning, Peyton Manning. Who do you think is better? Let's take a look at this graphic.
It's not even close. It's really not even close. It's Peyton Manning. Even though Eli has one more Super Bowl, I just don't even think it's close. When Peyton's done, if he has a couple more healthy years, he's going to have some records in the record books. The fact that Peyton really hasn't had a defense throughout his whole career, That's what the Giants have been able to have a lot of recent success. Had a defense, hasn't been as much pressure on Eli. I mean, let's face it. If the Colts had a running game like if the Giants didn't have a running game like the Colts, and Eli had to throw the ball 50-something times a game, I don't think it'd be nearly as successful.
Now, real quick before we close, let's take a look at the hometown hero, Patterson native Victor Cruz, coming out winning a Super Bowl. Went to Patterson Catholic, went to UMass, graduated from UMass. He was an undrafted free agent.
Yeah, well, Victor, I mean, he has all the tools to be a great wide receiver. I don't think an elite wide receiver in the NFL, but he has a lot of flash to him. He knows how to catch the ball. He knows how to run a good route. He really knows how to play football. I mean, he isn't going to be the best one every single year, but right now, him and Nix and Manningham also, I mean, those three are great wide receiving core, and I think they have a great couple years ahead of them.
I got to disagree with you a lot. I mean, I think Victor Cruz in a couple years is going to be one of the elite receivers in the league. Great tools, great hands, great speed. He's an overall great player.
That's all the time we have for this segment. Don't change the channel, because when we come back, Josh and Alex will talk about the Patriots playing the Super Bowl 46.
Welcome back to The Rain Delay. I'm your host, Josh Mordkoff, alongside Alex Green, once again bringing you the latest in the world of sports. First off, we're going to talk about Super Bowl 46. It was a close game, but as you know, the New York Giants came away with the victory. Let's analyze New England's performance so we can see what kept them from winning this Sunday. First, Alex, we're going to take a look at the Patriots' offensive leaders. Doug, can you cue that up for us? Tell us about it, Alex.
All right, Josh. So you see the star quarterback of the Patriots, Tom Brady, had 276 yards passing. The running game was pretty non-existent, although a pretty decent average for Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, who had 4.4 yards per carry, 44 yards on 10 carries. And in the receiving game, you had Aaron Hernandez, the second tight end, after Rob Gronkowski, had 8 receptions for 67 yards and a key touchdown. But didn't matter because, in the end, they still lost by 4 points.
Would you call that a surprising offensive performance?
The Patriots were one of the top teams offensively in the league, so the fact that Brady only passed for 267 yards is a bit surprising. They haven't been that great of a running team, so 44 yards isn't that surprising. And it was a good average, like I said, and they didn't run the ball that much, only 10 carries for the leading rusher. So it's not that surprising, but like I said, the passing game, I was a bit underwhelmed.
Now, Brady is arguably the best quarterback in the league at this point. Let's take a look at his stats and see what happened during the game.
That's very arguable because I think Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or somebody could be better than him. But he's one of the tops in the league, no doubt. In 27-41, as you see right there, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, one to Danny Woodhead and one to Aaron Hernandez. One key interception on a deep throw that was picked off by linebacker Chase Blackburn. And he started off the game slow. His first pass attempt actually ended up being a New York Giants safety, but he heated up in the second and third quarter and completed a Super Bowl record 16 consecutive passes.
Now, Brady's success doesn't only, not in the Super Bowl, but it doesn't only come from himself, but his receivers. Let's see that graphic with whose Brady's targets are.
You see, Wes Welker is normally his biggest target, well, figuratively because he's a pretty small guy, but he hits him most normally. He had 7 catches for 60 yards, so a bit of an off day for a guy who had over 120 receptions this season. Hernandez, as we said, 8 receptions, 67 yards, and touchdown. And Danny Woodhead, who's a running back, but more of a slot running back that catches the ball, had 4 receptions, 42 yards, and a big touchdown at the end of the first half. But like I said, Welker, like I said in our previous segment, one of the keys for the Giants had to be stopping Wes Welker. You knew he was going to catch the ball a lot of times. He had 7 catches, but the key was if you could stop him. Once he caught the ball, make sure he didn't run with the ball, the Giants would be successful, and they were. He only had 60 yards. And in the end, in the big fourth quarter, he had a huge drop on a ball that was behind him, so when he cut him some slack there, but still, a ball he normally catches.
Now, for the game itself, what were the Patriots' key stats?
Actually, can I see the graphic, please? You see, you had that one big turnover I was talking about, which Chase Blackburn picked off Tom Brady deep in Giants territory. Time of possession, it was only a 4-point game at the end, but the Giants dominated time of possession by over 14 minutes. And field position played a huge role. And Steve Weatherford, the punter for the Giants, down 3 punts inside the Patriots 20 and one that went for a touchback, and the Patriots only had 1 punt down inside the Giants 20. So field position played a huge key.
So it really looked like the Giants just outplayed the Patriots all throughout the game, stats-wise.
Yeah, you could pretty much say that. When you're looking at the stats, they really did, I think, outplay the Patriots offensively and defensively. But the Patriots stepped up big when it counted. They had a big drive, 96 or 98 yards, depending on how you look at it, at the end of the first half. They went for a touchdown, putting up 10-9 at the end of the first half. They came out big with a big touchdown in the third quarter. But, when the Giants felt the pressure, they stepped up to it and scored 12 straight points, ended up winning the game. Now,
didn't all come down to, the stats. There were also some blunders made by the Patriots. Doug, can you do the honors, please?
So like I was talking about, Brady's first pass attempt was actually turned out to be a safety on intentional grounding in the end zone because Justin Tuck got some pressure in there for the Giants. There's a key 12-man on the field penalty that negated a Victor Cruz fumble, and because it negated the fumble, the Giants ended up scoring a touchdown on that drive. And we had some numerous drops by receivers, including on the last drive and the second-to-last drive for the Patriots. On the second-to-last drive, Wes Welker had that big drop that might have sealed the game for the Patriots if he catches it. And Chris Collinsworth, who was the announcer for the NBC game, said he catches that ball 100 out of 100 times. So he ended up missing it. And on the last drive, Hernandez and Deion Branch both had some key drops. So all in all, that just cost the Patriots the game.
I know this is a hard thing to say, but is there anything you could put the Patriots' loss on, any single factor?
I mean, I don't really think so. Like they played pretty decently offensively. They were very streaky. Like they didn't start off well and didn't end well, but they really heated up in the second and third quarter. The defense played pretty decently all game. Held the Giants to 21 points, and they have a very porous secondary. But Eli Manning only threw for 296 yards, I guess. They held them under 300 yards, only had 1 touchdown. So even the defense played pretty decently. And there was 2 really evenly matched teams, and I think all in all it came down to those key mistakes, those penalties, the safety, and I think that overall is what cost them.
Thanks, Alex. It was definitely a fun Super Bowl Sunday, and the Giant win has set a positive tone in the school this week. So don't go anywhere, because when we return, Mike, Justin, and Nick will be talking about the upcoming NFL Draft.
Welcome back to the Rain Delay. I'm your host, Mike Giannini. Once again, along with me is Justin Avedissian and Nick DeCicco. And now that there are no more NFL games this season, it's time to move on to the next big thing in the NFL, the 2012 Draft in April. Let's first take a look at the Andrew Luck graphic. Andrew Luck coming out of Stanford and Robert Griffin III coming out of Baylor.
Yeah, the Colts already announced they're going to take Andrew Luck. I think he's a much better player than Griffin. Andrew Luck in college had some more experience playing under that professional style of offense. He fits the pro style system better, and the stuff he'll be able to do at the line of scrimmage is going to put him way ahead in the rookie class.
Absolutely. I completely agree with Justin on this. And the one thing about Andrew Luck is he actually has a very high intelligence level, obviously going to Stanford, but his football IQ is out of this world. I could say it's a young Peyton Manning in a way. You know what? I was watching ESPN yesterday, and one of the old quarterbacks of the Baltimore Ravens, he was saying how he knew Andrew as a young player, and he saw how much older he was than most NFL quarterbacks at his time that he's passed.
Now let's take a look at our next graphic, Matt Khalil coming out of USC.
Yeah, Khalil's done a great job at USC this year, really protecting protecting Barkley, my bad. He's got great size, really strong, and there's no reason he can't go in there and start somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. Matt Barkley's just one of the best offensive tackles I've seen in the last couple of years. Great aspect. But, Doug, can we go to the next graphic? Trent Richardson, big-time running back, I think, in the next upcoming draft. I mean, great running back at Alabama, strong, fast, smart, doesn't fumble the ball that much. He's very, very talented in all aspects of the game.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, everyone knows he's a great tailback. When the team needs him, he'll fight for a couple extra yards and should be pretty good at the next level.
Now we're going to bring up our next New York topic, I should say. Let's take a look at what the Jets need.
Well, besides everything, really. Well, the Jets really need team players. I mean, Santonio Holmes, the way he's been acting, has just been unprofessional, and it hasn't been out of a winning attitude. Santonio Holmes, after losing to the Steelers in the AFC Championship 2 years ago now, he always said, I want to get out of here, They don't give him the ball. He's not being a team player, and you know what? The Jets need to have team guys like the Giants. The Giants might not have overall a lot best athletes, but they have great team players and a lot of better team players, actually.
Yeah, I think the Jets really need, because I don't think LT's coming back, so I think you're going to need a nice compliment back for Sean Green. And but most importantly, I think they need to do something in the locker room. They got to bring somebody in who's really going to take control. I mean, I don't think Peyton Manning's going to go there because all the money they got invested in Sanchez. But I think that would be a great idea because, they respect the guys you're going to get. You can really get a locker room together, and it would really make them a Super Bowl contender.
Absolutely. And LT was one of the biggest leaders that the Jets had last year.
Yeah, that's right. Now, this next team goes out to one of our buddies, Mike Garino. What do the Kansas City Chiefs need?
Oh, Justin, you want to take this one?
I actually don't think the Chiefs they don't have that bad of personnel. I mean, Jamal Charles got hurt week 1. He's one of the best backs he's top 5 backs in the league when he's healthy. I think it really comes down to their quarterback, Matt Castle. I don't put him in a really high category. I think he's all right. I think he's overrated. But if they didn't put so much money in, they would have been a great team to pick up Manning because they got great receiver Dwayne Bowe. Tight end Mariaki's pretty good. Got a solid offensive line. Pretty solid defense too. So I mean, they're in rebuilding years.
Yeah, absolutely. And the running game is actually very well. I mean, you have Charles. You have Cluster. Is one of McCluster. Both very good running backs. But they need a defense. I think their defense needs to improve beyond any other defense I really see in the NFL right now. I mean, they always getting hurt. Not really staying healthy, as I just said. But you know what? They're not really a talented defense as well. They're not one of those teams that don't have the talent, but they strategize and use their brains. They're really not in that form yet. And I think they need that kind of mentality in there and get a defensive coach in there.
Let's take a look at our next team. Can we throw that graphic up, please? Jacksonville Jaguars, what do they need?
Oh.
Really, where do you start with the Jaguars besides every position?
Oh, God.
I think they're due. Blaine Gabbert, I think he's going to be I think he's going to be solid. I don't think he's going to be bad or bust or anything like that. Not really a problem with the leadership, really, because Jones Drew really has leadership of that locker room. But they definitely need, like I said, everything. Their defense is really bad. Hopefully pick up some big free agents and get that team turned around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the wide receiver, now I'm drawing a blank. Their big-time wide receiver. Walker, thank you. He's very talented, but he doesn't really have a quarterback. Gabbert. He's a rookie. Obviously, he's not going to be throwing touchdowns every pass, but he's shown some improvement. The head coach, they need someone to have a real identity so their team could succeed in the future.
Yeah, I would bring in, especially if I'm the Jaguars, I'd look for like a Bill Cowher. I mean, guy with that much success in the past would really do great things for a franchise that's struggling.
Guys, I'm going to have to cut you off there. We're out of time for this segment. Stick around because when we return, Josh and Alex will be discussing Peyton Manning's future in the NFL.
Welcome back to the Rain Delay. For those of you just tuning in, I'm your host, Josh Mordkoff, with your co-host, Alex Green. Alex, let's get into a hot topic in the NFL, although the Super Bowl has passed. 4-time MVP-winning QB Peyton Manning, who spent the entire season on the injured reserve list, is facing a big question. Alex, give us the Peyton Manning situation.
Well, Josh, as you see by this graphic right here, thank you, Doug, Peyton Manning, I'll give you a little background first. It's the first pick in the 1998 draft. He's a 4-time NFL MVP, and he won the Super Bowl in 2007, Super Bowl 41, and he was also the MVP of that game. Peyton Manning has been on the Colts for his whole career since 98, and at one time he started 207 consecutive regular season games before this season when he got injured and that streak was snapped. And he sat the whole season injured reserve because he had 3 neck surgeries in 19 months. And now he's getting better and doctors have cleared him to play. But the Colts' number 1 draft pick, and Andrew Luck, who is likely going to be the number 1 draft pick, is a once-in-a-generation talent. So sort of like Peyton Manning was back in '98. So do the Colts? Sorry,
Wrong Manning.
So it's like, do the Colts want to keep Peyton Manning? Or do they want to take Andrew Luck? Well, if you keep Peyton Manning, then you have to pay him $28 million by early March, and then if you pay him the $28 million, he's with you for the next 4 or 5 years. But $28 million is a lot of money. But Colts owner Jim Irsay said, it's all up to Peyton. Like, if Peyton wants to play, like, for the Colts, like, we'll figure it out. And if not, it's been fun, but we'll let him go.
So what options exactly does Peyton have?
Like I said, Peyton can choose, to stay with the Colts and get his. I don't know if he'd get $28 million. He'd probably have to restructure his contract, or he can go somewhere else. So, Doug, can we see some of his potential destinations? Right there, there is options. Like I said, the Colts could give him $28 million, or they could restructure it. I'm sure. Like Manning, when he signed a contract extension in 2007 or 2008, he didn't want to be the highest paid quarterback in football. He was like, I'll take 5 years, $90 million, $18 million a year is fine. I don't need to be the highest paid quarterback. Like, I love playing for the Colts. Or the Colts could just let him go and sign Andrew Luck and hope that Luck is their starter for the next 13 or 14 years. And if the Giants, I don't know why I keep saying Giants. It's just first football team that comes to my mind. So if the Colts let him go, Doug, can we see some of the potential destinations, please? Right there, you see the New York Jets really want him, Miami Dolphins, Washington Redskins, Arizona Cardinals, and Seattle Seahawks. There are plenty of teams that would want him, but I think those are just some, like, his top 5 destinations that, like, I think that want him most, that would pay him the most money.
Right. Now, if I was any manager, any coach for any football team, I want Peyton Manning on as my quarterback. But why would those teams listed specifically be a good destination for Peyton Manning?
Well, we'll start with the New York Jets. They have a mediocre quarterback in Mark Sanchez, who they spent a lot of money on, a lot of draft picks on. And, he's led them to 2 AFC Championship games, but he hasn't won them. And he played really poorly last season. And he's not really a great leader, in my opinion. And the whole locker room is dysfunctional. And because the whole locker room is dysfunctional, I don't think Peyton Manning will want to go there. But they want somebody, the Jets, they want somebody that Sanchez can learn from, and that'd be great for Peyton Manning. Washington doesn't really have a quarterback, and they're just a bad team. But Dan Snyder, their owner, is known to overpay players. That could be interesting to Peyton Manning. Miami, I think, seems like a great destination for him because they have Brandon Marshall as a great wide receiver. It's great weather in Miami, great atmosphere, good fans, and they need a quarterback. And like I said, Brandon Marshall is an elite wide receiver, so that'd be pretty cool. Arizona also has Larry Fitzgerald, who's one of the best wideouts in football, and you have also good weather and everything. It's warm, probably helps the neck heal and everything. Or you go to Seattle, and Seattle has one of the best fan bases, and they have a good system for Peyton Manning. He could really run the team himself, like he does, like be a field manager, like on the team, and I think he'd like that. So those are really top 5 choices, I think, for him.
Do you think he's going to make the choice based on his personal? Well, obviously he's going to keep himself in mind, but you think he's just going to go with the highest paycheck, or is he going to really bring what the team needs?
Like I said, when he was up for contract extension a few years ago with the Colts, he was like, I don't need to be the highest paid quarterback. I'll just take 5 years, $90 million. So I don't think he'll go necessarily where the most money is, and I feel like that would be the Washington Redskins because I don't think anybody really wants to play for the Washington Redskins at this point. They're just, they've been perennial losers in the NFC East, and they haven't really done anything. And at this point, they're not getting a lot better. So, Doug, can we see that last graphic? And like I said, where he should go, I think it's the Miami Dolphins because they have Brandon Marshall, who's a top receiver. They have Brian Hartline and Devon Best, who are young receivers but also very good. And if you combine them with a quarterback like Peyton Manning, who can stretch the field and really utilize them to their full talent, I think that'll make them really good wide receivers. He can only make Brandon Marshall better. You also have that warm weather, which will probably be good on the neck. You have great fans and a great atmosphere, and I think that's probably where he should go.
Yeah, I think you're right. It'll definitely be a good choice if he goes with the Miami Dolphins. But personally, it's going to be difficult seeing Peyton Manning in anything other than the Colts blue and white. But it looks like his release is very likely. That's all the time we have this week. We'll see you next time on The Rain Delay.
Welcome to the Rain Delay. I'm Justin Avedissian, and here with my good friend, Coach Jonathan Goldstein. We're here to talk about the multiple sports offered at Wayne Hills in the spring. So let's get started with the baseball team, which has a promising season ahead of them. Coach Gold, baseball, most importantly, the thing is pitching. Who do you think is going to be the number one pitcher for the Patriots?
Well, the way it looks right now, I would have to say Chris Amato had a solid second-team All-County year last year. I think he was about 5-2 with a very low ERA. Great command, does not walk people, which is huge in high school. And I would have to say right now, looking at the season, he's probably the ace due to, Troy's injury.
Yeah, and, who do you think might be a dark horse to work their way into that rotation that some people might not see coming? Maybe a JV guy from last year? Or
Sure, good question. Probably a guy like Ernie Moskal. He's had a great preseason. Lively arm. He does a lot in the off season, working on his game. He's probably going to work his way, and have to pitch a lot of innings for the Patriots to be successful this year.
Yeah, and who do you let's go behind the dish. Josh Cote, JV kid last year, really put in a tough situation to produce this year. How do you think he'll turn out?
I think he'll be just fine. Although, like you said, he was a JV guy last year, he does have some varsity experience. He was brought up for the Pequannock game, which, Pequannock's a very solid team, so he caught the whole game, the whole varsity game and the Pequannock game, and produced. He's good with the bat. He's very good behind the plate. He's worked a lot on his blocking skills, which is very important at the high school level. I don't think the Patriots are worried at all. I don't think Coach Rella's worried at all about what's going on behind the dish.
All right, and let's go to first base. We know it's going to be Jason. What do you think are his strengths in his overall game?
Well, I mean, I feel bad for the ball when it's coming at him, when he's in the batter's box. The two of you, the two of you guys up at the plate, the power you guys have, and not just power. You can hit line drives for base hits and whatnot. Both of you are, not to jump the gun and talk about you, but Jason had an all-county year last year, and obviously they're hoping for the same this year. He's tremendous with the bat.
Even though I'm not the first one to give him much credit, he did bring home the batting title last year. Had a pretty good year. Second base, there might be a couple guys fighting for that spot. Who do you think's gonna walk away with that spot?
Well, I think, like you said, I think it's going to be by committee. When certain people are pitching, other guys are going to step up and get a chance. You're talking about guys like Christian Rodriguez. Moskal's going to play a little at second base, depending on who's on the mound. If Amato's on the mound, probably Moskal moves over to short. Rodriguez plays second. If Amato's not on the mound, you figure Amato's going to be the shortstop, and probably Moskal's going to be at second. So you're looking at a rotation at second base, I would think.
Yeah, and there's even a possibility of Brendan Rowe, who's doing a great job this year, stepping up, really catching coach's eye. What do you think? What do you think's his biggest strength?
Well, Brendan, his biggest strength is he can basically play anywhere in the infield. He can play third base. He can play second base. Now, obviously, you're the incumbent at third base, so there's not going to be a lot of opportunities for him at third. So, like you said, second base is probably his biggest option. Brennan, when he connects, the ball's going to go. And he's a solid player. Good fielder, good with the bat.
All right, and let's work our way over to shortstop, where Troy has been for the last couple of years, but now dealing with that injury. So it looks like Chris Amato is going to take that spot. How do you think he'll do?
Well, that's a tough loss for the Patriots with Troy. He was a first-team all-county pitcher, so he would have been the ace of the staff. He was your anchor at shortstop. So, like you said, that's a tough loss. Amato, very, very good fielder. Okay, great range, very solid, very high fielding percentage. He's kind of your typical high school shortstop. Makes the routine play. You don't need to make diving plays. You just need to make the routine play, and he's great at doing that.
And myself at third, I don't really want to talk that much about myself. Let's make our way to the outfield and center field, where it looks like we got Micah Bate.
Well, I don't like skipping over you, but if we must, Mike was another kid who had his feet wet last year, stepping in, big West Milford game for the league championship. He played the whole way. Always good to have a lefty in the lineup. He's very good speed, very solid outfielder, and he's improving on his arm strength, which, as an outfielder is going to be very important.
Don't go anywhere. When we come back, Coach Gold and I are going to continue our review for the outfield, bullpen, and coaching staff. Welcome back to the Rain Delay. I'm Justin Avedissian, and we're going to continue our talk about the baseball team. Coach Gold, we left off with the outfield. We said probably Mike Abate will play center field. Who else might give him a run for that position?
Looks like Mark Mbimbo is in the mix. Michael Garino is in the mix. Mike's a senior. Mbimbo's a junior. You got Steve Adesso's probably going to be in right field on days he's not pitching. So those would probably be the guys in the mix in the outfield.
And, there's also possibility of sophomore John Budessa cracking his way into the lineup. What do you think really will help him open the coach's eyes?
Well, John and Mark are probably two of the fastest kids in the school, let alone in the baseball program. John is doing very well. Speaking with Coach Rella, the only problem with that is if John's going to be up with the big club and not playing, kind of like stunts his growth.
Yeah.
So you want to get him on the field. So if he wins that spot, great. If not, it would serve him well to play on the JV team. But his speed is an incredible attribute, and he pitches well. So as does Mbimbo. So
Yep.
you got options.
And we said Adesso in right field, but who do you think will probably play that right field spot when Adesso's pitching?
My guess is it's going to be either Mike Garino or Mark Mbimbo. And I guess I would say Abate will probably be in left. So you got Mike Garino, Mark Mbimbo, center and right.
And what do you think? What are Mike Garino's strong aspects?
He's solid. He's solid in just about everything he does. He's got speed, very good speed. He can hit, he can field. He's not what I would call an A guy at every spot, but he's probably like a B+ guy.
And Gold, Wayne Hill's baseball over the last years, even with Ianello as coach, starters had the tendency to go all 7 innings, but I think really this year it's going to start to change. I think they're going to have to start using some relievers. Who do you think will be those first couple relievers to go in?
Definitely early on in the season when pitch counts are low, you're going to look to use your bullpen a lot more. When they go to the bullpen, I would say Christian Rodriguez is probably going to get some innings. We talked about Mark Mbimbo, probably get some late innings, and even John Budessa, I hear, is making a push.
And do you think the Patriots will have just one closer?
No, I think like you said, as if a guy is hot, we're going to ride his arm late, probably into the 7th inning. But if we did have to choose a closer, I would say Adesso's probably the fastest, of all the arms that we had mentioned. So as long as his arm can handle the wear and tear, he could be that guy.
All right, Gold, and let's go to the coaching staff.
How about before we go to the coaching staff, we really brushed over third base. Can we touch on third base? I know you're being humble, but
who do you think's going to end up at third this year?
Well, you're obviously going to be at the hot corner, and you have a tremendous bat and very good above-average glove, and we're looking for a big season out of you.
Yeah, I hope so. Now let's go to that coaching staff. It's Rella's second year with the team. Do you think he'll run into a sophomore slump?
No, he's got too much talent to run into a sophomore slump. With what you guys have, with what you're bringing back, I would say there will be no sophomore slump. The only thing, he's got some shoes that he had to fill. Let me ask you, how's the staff coping with the loss of me?
It's like what John Gruden asked Andrew Luck, how do you replace Peyton Manning? He says you can't replace a guy like that. So, it's kind of like that. Gonna miss you in the locker room, on the field. He's a great overall coach.
I appreciate that, but Coach Rell will do just fine without me. He's a very good teacher of the game, the fundamentals. He's got playing experience at in Division III World Series with Kane, and he's very good at getting what he wants out of his players.
And the new guy this year, G. We all know G was the new guy last year, getting the call up to the bigs this year. What do you think about Coach Bushhoven? What is he going to bring to this team?
He brings enthusiasm. Scotty loves coaching. He loves what he's doing. He's very enthusiastic. He just wants to fit in as best he can and help out in any way that he can. And, I'm sure he's going to be a great addition to the Patriot staff.
All right, Gold, I'm going to cut you off. Don't click that remote. We'll be right back to talk about the softball team and their upcoming season. Welcome back to the rain delay. Now we are going to talk about Coach Goldstein's domain, the Lady Patriots softball team. Coach, Hertzberg, well now Brown, has been doing a great job with the team the last couple of years, but I think she's going to run into a little bit of a problem this year, a little hump, losing their star pitcher. Who do you think is going to take over that spot for Wills, who's dominated for the Patriots the last couple of years?
Yeah, we have a battle going on right now between a junior, Emma Nochese, and a sophomore, Melanie Chichuch. Should all play itself out by opening day, but I think they're both going to be called upon at some point during the season to pitch for the Lady Patriots.
And before we get to the other positions, Coach Gold, what do you bring to the Lady Patriot staff?
It's a good question. Obviously, Mrs. Brown doesn't need much help. She's coming off a 20-win season. She's had 2 20-win seasons out of the last 4, I believe. She's got a county championship in there, so it's not like she needs my help. But I bring just another, different perspective than maybe she has on the game strategically and things of that nature.
All right, now we're going to go over to third, where I believe Meg McVeigh played last year.
Right.
So losing her, she's a pretty solid player. Who's going to take over for her?
We're going to be young this year. So, we have another sophomore going to fill in for her, Christina Fabiano. She's like a brick wall down there. Nothing gets by her. She hugs the line, so you're not getting any doubles down the line.
By the way, she throws a bowling ball 20 miles an hour, so I just thought that was incredible.
Yeah, but she's a strong kid, and she's a power hitter, and we're expecting big things out of Christina.
And we'll go right over to shortstop. Kelly Burian looks like he's going to get that job. What do you think she brings to the Patriots besides her high energy level?
Experience. Kelly, this is going to be a third year for Kelly starting. She's a 3-year starter, full of energy. She's like a little fire plug, very full of energy, excited to be on the field every day. That's what she's going to bring.
And let's go over to second base.
Second base is going to probably be a newcomer. It looks like Brianna Holbert, who's a freshman, is going to win the job, and she's good. And the best thing about her is she's a freshman. So, we get to teach her to do things our way, and she's got a good bat for a freshman. She's going to make freshman mistakes, so you're going to have to live through those, but we're expecting a nice solid year out of her.
And we'll make our way over to first base with our very own Susan Pasquarello. What do you think Susan brings to the team?
Susie P, a 2-year starter there. Great glove. I've been around for maybe a month now, and she's like Keith Hernandez at first base. I'm telling you.
That's a pretty high praise right there.
Well, anything in the dirt she's coming up with. So, she does a great job picking balls in the dirt, which is huge for us because not all these girls are unfortunately hitting her, in the chest where they should be hitting her. So she's saving a lot of throwing errors by picking balls out of the dirt.
And behind the dish, we got Jamie, who's really opened the coach's eyes, obviously. All coaches around the league in the last couple of years. What do you think makes her such a great player?
Just knowledge of the game, and intelligence. You're talking about somebody who's going to Brown to play softball, which is an Ivy League school for those who don't know. So she's just tremendously smart. She's calling the game. She sees everything in front of her, so she's telling everybody where to throw the ball and what base the ball should be going to. She's a 4-year starter. She's a returning all-county kid. I think maybe even she might have a chance to be a 4-year all-county player. So, she's pretty impressive back there.
And making our way to the outfield, who's going to really take charge and take that center field position?
Center field is solid. The center field job is going to be Carly Sujin. She's a junior. It'll be her first year with the big club. Lefty, great arm, catches everything.
All right. And what about in right?
Well, the other outfield positions are going to be decided between Tony Zangrilli, Alexa Beck, Sydney Dobrinsky. So we've got some competition in those spots too. But it looks like we're going to start the season with Tony Zangrilli in right and Alexa Beck in left.
All right. And can you talk about a little about the not new last year, but freshman Coach Boslicato? How do you think he really develops the younger girls?
Before we get to Coach Boz, I just want to mention 2 other players that are probably going to see the field and playing time wise, because we're going to have a what they call a DP, and somebody who's going to hit every day is going to be Alana Luna. She's a sophomore coming off an injury last year, so she's going to be in the lineup every day probably. She brings a big bat, big power hitter. She could be our 4-hitter. And another freshman, Shelby Zott, is like a backup first baseman and another hitter. Getting to Coach Boz, that's where the team is developed. At the freshman level, very much like in football. You know that all the success
Oh,
can
yeah.
be attributed to our freshman coaches. So, you could say the same thing could be said for the softball team.
All right, Coach. Well, that's all the time we got. Don't go anywhere. When we get back, Doug Schweibel will be previewing the boys lacrosse team.
Welcome back to the Rain Delay. I'm Doug Schweibel, once again joined here with Coach Goldstein, and we're going to be discussing the Wayne Hills lacrosse team. Coach, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So this year the Patriots are led by their senior goalie Max Fields. They're very excited about him. This is going to be his second year starting. Can you tell us a little about him?
Yeah, Coach Jacobson actually thinks he's one of the he thinks he's the best goalie in Passaic County, which is saying a lot. And again, that year under his belt from last year, very agile, very flexible, very good with the stick. So he should be without a doubt a big influence on the season that the Patriots have.
Max will be playing next year at Keene University. Another varsity starter who's going on to play at college next year, Christian Graff.
CG?
Looking to play at Susquehanna University next year. What are your thoughts on him?
A great one-on-one defender. Really worked hard on his upper body strength this year. Physical on the back line, and a very good one-on-one defender.
Him and James and Fatty are really bringing home the defense. Both James is now a 3-year varsity starter, very athletic. What do you think he brings to the table?
Well, you said it, athleticism. Definitely the most athletic of all the defensemen, and fast. I don't know if you've seen him on the ice in hockey. He was always the fastest kid on the ice, and the same thing translates, to the lacrosse field. He's fast, he's physical, and again, just like you said, athletic.
The Patriots lost a big part of their defense in the crease defense last year with Chris Baselli. This year they have Dylan DeBonis. Do you think he's going to be able to fill the job, or how do you think he's going to pan out?
Yeah, I do. Coach is confident in Dylan. Says he brings a lot of leadership back there and a lot of knowledge. He kind of knows where he's very good at anticipating. Knows where the ball is going to be going before they're even throwing it. So I think that's going to benefit him.
Coach says how we're going to be a very midfielder-based team. A lot of our Dodgers are going to be from our midfielders. Can you tell us a little about the 3 juniors?
Yeah, he's expecting Ryan Cardux to have an unbelievable year. He says he's counting on him for a lot of offensive production. Okay, and obviously Matt Shunke, Robbie Schiller, both coming off injuries, so you never know what you're going to get from them, but 2 tremendous athletes. The 3 of them, in the midfield, I think you'll be hard-pressed to find a better midfield in the county than those 3 guys.
You don't find too many junior captains. You got 2 in that line alone. On to the defensive middies, you got Steve Pasterla, Chris Chavone, and some James Zambito in there. A lot of athleticism. How do you think they'll do? A
lot of athleticism, but young, and maybe a little inexperienced. So you're going to have to live with some mistakes out of those guys. But the other guys should be able to pick up for their mistakes. But again, there's talent there. So what better way to get them experience going forward than to throw them into the fire?
At the attack line, you have the 2 Schweibel brothers and Jason Rubin. So anything about them?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you and your brother, solid. You growing up together, you guys know each other's habits. So
Throwing the ball around.
You bet. You know where you're going to be. Just by throwing around the ball in the backyard, you guys should have what I like to call chemistry. So, between the 2 of you, hoping to pump in, a lot of goals, and Rubes is going to add to the mix as well.
Assistant Coach Noonan and Coach Jacobson say that we should go pretty far in the Passaic County tournament. How far do you think we go, and how far do you think eventually we'll get in the state tournament?
I would say definitely a run to the county finals is not out of the question. We've had a lot of success in that tournament over the years. Last year, maybe hit a little, rough patch, and it was rare for us not to go far. But I like the fact that the finals are played at our field. And I think that gives us an advantage should we get there. And I would say, that definitely is one of our goals, to get to the county finals.
Coach Jacobson was actually who do you think is a possible all-county player, or who do you have to watch out for? Who are your players to watch
Well,
out
I mean,
for?
out of the guys that we mentioned, I would say Max should definitely be an all-county caliber player. Ryan Cardux, I know they're hoping, is an all-county caliber player. That room's tough, when you go in there, trying to get guys all-county, right? DePaul,
Wayne Valley.
You bet. Clifton and Lakeland, they're always, everybody wants their kids. I would say, we should have, what I like to think is we should hopefully get one guy at each position.
That'd be awesome.
One defender, one midfielder, one attacker, and if we can steal the goalie, that would be great.
Thank you. Thanks, Coach. I'm going to have to cut you off there. That's all the time we have today for the Wayne Hills lacrosse team, but don't go far. When we come back, we will be talking about the Wayne Hills track team.
Welcome to the Rain Delay, everyone. My name is Giannini. I have here my good friend Matt Collum, and we're here to talk about track team. Okay, so Matt, to start off, we're going to talk about some people that, in my eyes, I believe, go unnoticed on the track team. That's the throwers. They're kind of not on the track. They're pushed over to the side. No one really knows about them, but they're led by Coach Boger, who's quiet, doesn't say many words. What do you think he brings to the team?
Yeah, Bogert, I mean, he's a quiet guy. I don't really know him too well, but he's a great coach. He knows what he's talking about. And whenever we're in meets, they always score points. No matter who's throwing, they always seem to know how to score points. And we got a big senior in Mike Fonte leading the way, shot put, the disc, and the jab, and he scores points in almost every meet. So I mean, strong performance from him. Got a couple of juniors. We got Sam Finkelstein throwing. He throws that jab pretty far. I mean, he's got a great arm. So I mean, we got a great throwing team, and Bogert really knows how to lead the way.
No, definitely. I was actually going to ask you about Mike Fonte, but you talked about him already. You nailed it right on the head. Mike Fonte, another 4-year senior. I feel like we have a lot of those on the track team, and Mike Fonte definitely does bring us an energy. I mean, he's also another quiet person, but like you said, shot put, disc, he does his job very well. So now we're gonna move across the field. We're gonna talk about jumpers. First, we talk about individuals. I want to talk about the coach, Coach Riker. Personally, he's a mentor to me. I've been doing this for 4 years. He's really taught me what I need to do to become a better jumper. What has Riker done for you, and what do you think Riker's done for the team?
Well, he's been here for over 30 years, so I mean, he really knows what he's talking about, and he's brought kids to states. He's brought kids to the meet of champions. I mean, he's a great coach. He knows what he's doing. He always turns kids that aren't natural jumpers into what they would seem to be natural jumpers, and I mean, he always knows what drills to do, when to do them, and when to give his kids rest.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously we know Riker knows what he's doing. Like you said, he's been here for over 30 years. He was the head coach before we came in as freshmen, so he knows what he's doing. And to make his job even easier, we have the athletes to make him look good. So talk about triple jump and long jump. Our two top guys, obviously you're with me right here. You're a top triple jumper and long jumper. And we have Nico Rantanog, who's also a top jumper. Talk about yourselves a little bit, and what do you bring to the team?
Well, Nico, I mean, we do the triple jump, he jumps incredibly. And I just did triple jump this year. It's my first year, so I'm not nearly as good as Nico, but I'm catching up to him. But he knows how to lead the team. He leads the team every day during stretching and everything, so he knows what he's doing. And in long jump, me and Nico are about the same. I might jump a little bit further than him, but we're consistently at the top of our game when we jump. And like with Coach Riker, I mean, can't really go wrong.
Yeah, you always have a shot with him. Now moving across the field from the long jump pit, we're moving to the high jump pit. Obviously, that's where I've been for 4 years. I'm a 4-year senior. I've been doing it. I'm a 5'10" jumper. You have Preston Quinn, a junior who's filled in very nicely. He's also jumping 5'10". And then you have another role player I consider in Matt Greenfield, who's jumping around 5'6", 5'8", but wouldn't be surprised if he gets 5'10". Think about having 3 high jumpers like we do, what that brings to the team, and how that helps us.
Well, we got 2 seniors in you and Greenfield, and Preston just came in this year, and he's just incredible. I mean, he jumps 5'10" in the first meet that we have in the season, and we weren't expecting him to get over 5'6". So, I mean, it's incredible. And when we have relay meets, you need 3 guys to get over. You got 3 guys jumping at least 5'6". It's just incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, we got the senior leaders and you and Greenfield, and I mean, it's awesome.
No, definitely. Having 3 high jumpers that score you points is very important. Now, I think another important squad of the team is the sprinters. You have Coach Monaco, who's the second year here. I believe you got some very fast sprinters here with you. You have Jeff Yinyak there. You have Darius Haber. Now, I believe Darius is a black horse. What do you think Darius brings to the team?
Yeah, Darius. I mean, he just came in this year. He's done basketball, so he's trained all spring. So he never really did track. Maybe didn't think it was as fun as he originally thought. But he came in. He trains real hard every day. I mean, he's one of the top kids in practice every single day, and he runs real hard. Like you see it in his face when he's running the races. I mean, he takes it real seriously.
No, definitely. Now, everything I've talked about so far, talk about real quick before we wrap it up here. Talk about what the senior leadership brings to the table, because every person I've mentioned, they're all 4-year starters. They've been here 4 years, doing 4 years. Talk about real quick what that brings to the team.
Yeah, I mean, having 4-year seniors, just leading the track team, and you got track. It's if you're good as a freshman, you run varsity as a freshman, and I mean, it gives the younger kids confidence. It makes them feel like they can do that too. If you're an underclassman running varsity, so when you have a whole bunch of seniors and they're all scoring points in every meet, I mean, you got Jeff Gignac comes in first in nearly every single race he runs. You got our jumpers.
Okay, I'll start to cut you off there, Matt, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, you're going to be here with me. We're going to talk about track some more, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Rain Delay, everyone. I'm Giannini. I still have Matt Collum here with me. We're going to continue talking about track. So, Matt, to start off real quick, I found out you guys won your first track meet at West Milford. Talk about how that's going to propel you for the rest of the season.
Well, the team's never really won a meet before, so we haven't won a meet in a few years. So, I mean, it feels great to finally get our first win, and hopefully it'll propel us.
Okay, so considering that you guys won that meet, and West Milford is a tough team year in, year out, how do you think you guys are going to fare the rest of the season? And consider the county relays, all these big meets that are going to come up. How do you, at the end of the season, at the barbecue you guys have, how do you think you guys are going to end up at the end of the year?
Well, like I said, we've never really won a meet before, so if we can win the state county relays in a couple weeks, I mean, that'd be incredible. I mean, that's what we're looking forward to.
Talk about what goes into winning a big meet like that, state county relays, because we all know that the top teams in the county are there, and our county is filled with very good teams. Not many of them are bad track teams. Talk about what we, as a team, we need to do to, bring home the W there.
Well, everyone needs to give it their all. I mean, winning that relay, we got some great teams, so everyone just got to give all out, 100% every single race.
Sorry, Matt, I'm not to cut you off there, but that's all the time we have today. I want to thank you for talking track with me, but I also want to thank Coach Goldie for coming in and talking about other sports with us, and I wish the best to all the Wayne Hill sports teams out there. Thank you and good night.
Hello, and welcome to the Rain Delay. I'm your host, Josh Mordkoff, alongside special guest and beloved Wayne Hills faculty member, Coach John Goldie Goldstein. We're going to kick off this week's show with an overview of the Wayne Hills volleyball team. First, let's discuss the starters for the 2012 season. Coach, can you give us a rundown of the starters and some of their strengths at their positions?
Sure. Let's see. You got a returning libero in Rob Salviano. Brings a wealth of experience. I think it's like his third year wearing the multicolored jersey in the middle. You can always pick him out in a crowd. You've got Hunter Beck as a starter this year. They were hoping to have, Luciano Blumetti. He hasn't been around yet. He's hurt. You got Jason Gold as a returning all-county player from last year. Jason Polsky, just to name a few.
Right, and that's a really good starting lineup. And as far as I've heard, they've been playing very well this season together, and there's a lot of good chemistry there. They're all pretty good friends, so I've heard.
Very well.
Who from the bench, can make a big impact if they sub in?
Good question. I don't have the answer to that question.
That's okay. We'll move on.
All right.
A lot of the volleyball is a sport where the guys can stay out there. They're really well trained, and you don't always have to go to the bench if you don't have to. But yeah,
well, my guess is he's going to utilize his bench for in key serving situations.
Right.
Usually, every team has like a stud server who's going to come in when it's their turn to serve and try and steal some points in that regard.
Yeah, that makes sense. How has the loss of last year's seniors impacted the team this year?
Every year, every sport, anytime you lose seniors, the product of a good program, quote unquote, is to have the next guys step in the next year and just it's like not losing anything. And you're talking about, a program who Coach Eustace has over 300 wins in his career, so he's obviously built something special. They routinely make it to the semifinals of the Passaic County tournament. They routinely make it to the, round of 16, round of 8 in the state tournament. So, he just rolls it over year after year, and he's successful year after year.
Right, that's very true. Like last year, they had guys like Eddie Schiller who, were great for the team, and they had guys who were playing varsity or still playing varsity now that are really picking up the slack.
He's produced a legacy of kids like Jay Sawicki, Ziggy Gorin, who go on and play in college, who are just absolute incredible. Nick Warzel, just incredible volleyball players.
Let's talk about Eustace for a little bit. What does he bring? What does he bring to the team?
He's experienced. He's about a 15-year, head coach, and like I said before, he's got over 300 wins. He's very proud of that accomplishment. Again, year after year, he's one of the upper echelon teams in the county and the state and North Jersey. He's got playing experience in high school. He coaches both boys and girls here at Wayne Hills, so he obviously has a very good understanding of the sport strategically. So he does a great job.
And one more question regarding Luciano Blumetti. We mentioned him in the past. Last year made a huge impact. I mean, physically also with his big size, and they're missing him this year because of medical reasons.
I mean, Luch is just a physical specimen. You see him walking in the halls. He's a very big dude, to say the least. And returning this year, he was being counted on to be one of the best players in the county, and he hits with a tremendous amount of power. I mean, even walking by in practices, if you walk by at the wrong time, that ball's going to be coming at your head.
Amongst the team now, sorry, one more question to follow up. Who do you think can, somewhat pick up the slack for Blumetti?
Well, it's got to be Jason Gold. It's got to be Hunter Beck. Hunter, I guess, is not your prototypical outside hitter this year, but, he's stepping in and helping out.
Goldie, I'm sorry, that was the bell. I'm going to have to cut you off. Thank you on behalf of the entire Rain Delay crew for being such a big help to our show. Don't touch that remote. The Rain Delay will continue with Justin Avedissian and Nick DeCicco, bringing you an update on Wayne Hills baseball.
Welcome back to the Rain Delay. I'm your host, Nick DeCicco, alongside with my lovely co-host here, Justin Avedissian, and we're going to talk about the Wayne Hills baseball team. The baseball team this year started off pretty good. I mean, we went 2-0, and then we hit this little skid with Valley. But our overall record right now, 7-4, decent record right now. But we haven't really peaked yet. I mean, we haven't played our best baseball game. Give me your feeling on the baseball team right now.
Yeah, not a terrible start. I definitely thought we would start a little bit better. You said you nailed it right on the head when you said we haven't reached our peak yet. Really haven't played a full game yet, all 7 innings. But, I think a little bit has to do about being on the road all the time. We only had one home game. It's pretty tough to get off a bus after a long bus ride and play a complete game. So, I mean, I give them a couple more games. I think we'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the long bus rides we always have. I mean, we just had a game against Pope John, and we had an hour bus ride basically. I mean, we slumped a little bit in the beginning, but when we actually got to wake up, we actually played some good baseball. But anyway, let's go to our previous games. We have our Fairlawn game where you went 3 for 4, had 3 home runs. I mean, and they were all shots. I mean, there wasn't any cheap ones there, man. Give me a little bit on the pitcher, how he came and tried to approach you.
They threw the number one at us. He was pretty solid. Tried to pound the strike zone early, but I think we did a pretty good job as a team of jumping on his fastball, not letting him get deep in the counts, and making the other team make plays. So. Yeah,
absolutely. And at Fairlawn, they were 1-5, I believe, when they faced us. But you know what? That was probably one of the best 1-5 teams I've ever seen. I mean, we've been playing those kids since we were just 10, 12 years old. I mean, those kids still have great talent. I mean, they just haven't put it together yet. But, I mean, they're a good team. Anyway, we're going to go to PCT. I mean, not exactly what the best teams in the past, but they've always been the scrappy teams, always been good. I mean, you always had to watch your back with them. And this year, they're having a really good season. I mean, we came in there, we were thinking a regular PCT team, but, they fought hard against us. I mean, we pulled out the W, but it was a hard-fought win. I mean, give your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, no doubt. PCT is usually not the team you worry about, but this year they are. I mean, they are very solid pitching, but I think in the end they're still going to be the old PCT team where, they're very undisciplined on the bases,
Yeah.
and especially in our game, they ran themselves out of a couple innings. So I think that's really what's holding them back to being a
absolutely.
good program.
Absolutely. I mean, their discipline on the base paths is really bad right now. I mean, they got picked off once or twice, got in a couple pickles. I mean, and the kid tried going from second to third on a ground ball just to your brother. I mean, I don't think they've captured that part of the game yet, but once they do, I think they're going to be a dangerous team. Anyway, going on to Pope John, always a very good competitor. I mean, far bus ride, but Saturday game, I mean, how do you think we handled that game?
In the beginning we were definitely a little sluggish. Definitely didn't see their best pitching. But at the end of the day, they were, it's still Pope John. I think they were ranked top 5 in the state last year. So, it's great. I think it's a big confidence booster for us. Lost a couple games lately, and to be able to beat a quality opponent, it's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go to our upcoming game. Probably one of the biggest ones for us. It's Wayne Valley coming up on Wednesday. I mean, we're supposed to have a game this week against DePaul. Got rained out. So, I mean, that's an unlucky break. I mean, that's always a big rivalry game as well. But, I mean, we lost 2-1. Steve Avedissian pitched his heart out for us. And it was a hard loss for a lot of us. But what do you think we could improve on to beat Valley next time we play them?
Well, we played a pretty solid game against Valley. It's not like we were striking out. A lot of guys put the bat on the ball and just hit balls right at people. So, you really can't do anything about that. But I think the approach is going to be much better. We're definitely going to focus for the whole game and not make some mistakes on the mound, not walking guys, letting our defense play a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go to our top performers. That's obviously you and your brother. I mean, you guys just hit the ball absolutely incredible. But you know what? Not a lot of people see you for what you guys are on the field. You guys have great gloves. I mean, our last game against Pope John, you made 2 great diving plays. Jason, all he does is scoop the ball. If there's a bad throw, he'll make a great play as well. I mean, what do you think you and your brother together make you guys be so well together?
I can speak for me and my brother. Everyone knows we're going to hit the ball a little bit. But, we're not, at the same time, you're not playing DH, so, you have to play the field. So, you got to take some pride in your field. Don't want to make any errors and hurt the team.
Absolutely. I'm going to have to cut us off there now. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're just going to be right back to talk about more about the Wayne Hills baseball team. Welcome back, folks. We're here on the rain delay, and I'm Nick DeCicco once again, and this is Justin Avedissian to pick up where we left off about the baseball team. We left off with the top performers about you and your brother. Do you have any other top performers in your mind?
I think Chris Amato is really pitching very well for us. I mean, our pitching staff's a little banged up right now, and I think he's doing a great job out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, going to play college ball. He's a good pitcher, great fielder, decent hitter now. I mean, he's got into his own a little bit with the bat. Anyway, we're going to go to our top surprises. Eric Moskal. Pitches, fields, hits well. Tell me what you think Eric his strengths are, you can say.
I think definitely this year it's his pitching. In the beginning of the year, we knew Chris was going to be our 1. We weren't sure where Steve was going to be. We knew he was going to be either the 2 or the 3, but I think Eric's definitely our number 2. I mean, he's really pitched great against DePaul and Fairlawn. So, I mean, he shows he can do it. Has a couple, and the thing that separates him from some of our other pitchers are he can throw more than 1 pitch for a strike, and that's huge in varsity baseball. You can't just be going up there throwing fastballs every pitch. You got to be able to mix it in your curve, your changeup, or whatever you have. So, I think he's doing a great job there, and as well as the leadoff spot. We just moved him to the leadoff spot. He's finding ways to get on base, so I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, absolutely. He went 5 for 5 against Pope John. Against West Milford, he had a little bit problem up at the plate. He was leaning a little much, but he worked on it the next day. Pope John, he came out ready to play, and he went to 5 for 5. What about Micah Bate? I mean, he kind of surprised everyone this year. I mean, not surprised us, but surprised people outside our program.
Yeah, Mike's a great player. We all knew it, and the team, we knew how good he was. Being able to go out there and take over someone like Tyler Rubino last year, who was great for us. The thing with Bate is he's just so fast in the outfield. He'll track down anything. He's got a great arm, and when he's at the plate, all he has to do is make some contact, and he has a great chance to beat anything out. So I think he's doing a great job transitioning to the varsity team.
Absolutely. I mean, he's only a junior, got another year, just like Eric. You know what? Me being a senior on the team, us being seniors on the team, it is about us a little bit, but it matters about the juniors and how they support us. I mean, if they ain't doing their job, we're not going to be able to do ours because we're going to think about too much. And the thing about Abate is he's mature out on the baseball field. He knows how he does. I mean, his dad played pro ball. I mean, he knows how to play the game mentally, physically, everything. I mean, he gunned a guy out from dead center field right onto second base with no problem reaching a guy on a fly. I mean, Mike's athletic ability is close to none other than anybody else. I mean, fast, hit good. He's just a great athlete to me. He's a good baseball player as well. He's a good team player. Going on, Josh Cote had to take over Monahan's spot. I mean, unfortunate events with Andrew. Big spot missing in the leadership role over there. But how do you think Josh has adapted to the varsity catching spot?
No, I think he's done pretty well. Obviously, Andrew was a big part of our team last year, and we were looking forward to him to contribute this year. But due to circumstances, he can't. But Josh's done a really great job stepping in. From the first scrimmage to now, I think he's improved a lot. Really starting to try to take control out there a little bit with his pitchers and handle himself a lot better at the plate. So, I just give him time. It's his first year, but I think he's doing a great job.
Absolutely. I mean, his bat. Everyone was thinking a little bit more, how's he going to be able to hit with us? Is he going to be able to go with the varsity bat? Here he has 2 homers. They're all good shots. I mean, he's a good average hitter. His fielding-wise, like you said before, his catching ability has improved way, way better. And his control with the team, his leadership with Rella and everything like that. Rella has tried to take him under his wing a little bit and show him how to do it. And I think Josh has adapted to it very well. Anyway, what do you think our team's strengths are?
I'm gonna definitely say it's gonna be our hitting. If you look through our 1 through 9 hitters, and even our guys that don't start like yourself, who can swing the bat very well, so we have great depth. I think other teams know that, so be real selective at the plate. But I think if we come to the plate with a good approach, we're gonna put a decent amount of runs up every game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our bullpen, I think, is another strength of us. I mean, we have Christian Rodriguez coming out of there. I mean, he could start as well. I mean, he can be a long reliever. Mark and Bimbo. We got John Budessa, sophomore. Good live arm. But I think our bullpen is a big strength of us. I mean, our starting pitching is I'm not saying weak because of who our pitchers are. I mean, the amount of pitchers we have starting. I mean, we have 3 regular starters, and it's hard to get a 4th out of them. But I'm going to have to cut everyone off right now. Don't go anywhere, folks. The Rain Delay will be right back with Giannini and Doug Schweibel for the NBA playoffs.
Welcome back to Rain Delay, everyone. I'm your host, Giannini, and I have my NBA analyst here, Doug Schweibel, with me here. And as we know, the NBA playoff race is heating up, and we're here to break it down, including the MVP race. So let's start off, Doug. Let's go over to the Western Conference, where you have the San Antonio Spurs leading it off. And in my opinion, our team that can, eventually take it all. What do you think?
Well, looking at the graphic that Justin will be posting for us shortly, you have the number 1 seed, the San Antonio Spurs, leading the conference. Definitely playing like a very veteran team led by Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, like they have for
countless years,
almost 10 years now. At number 2 seed, you got the hot Oklahoma City Thunder right now. Very inexperienced team, but with a lot of potential, led by Kevin Durant. Then moving to 3 and 4, you got the LA Nation. You got the Lakers and
the Clippers.
The Clippers making their first playoff appearance since 2006,
and only a game apart too.
Yeah, so. I'm looking forward to seeing this playoff breakout. The Western Conference is filled with the top 4 seeds are some of the top teams in the entire league. So I'm looking to see how that breaks down.
Who do you think out of the West? I know San Antonio is number 1 right now, but that could definitely change with a couple games left in the season. But who do you think, in your opinion, will take the West in the end?
I think the NBA season always breaks down to be like every team is always playing, because this regular season isn't really important. It's all about the playoffs. So all the teams are basically resting their starters. They understand they made the playoffs. They're getting ready for their matchups. And I see San Antonio still staying as the 1 seed. I don't see Oklahoma City making a run, but I could be wrong.
Who do you have coming out of the West at the end of the playoffs? The Western Conference Finals. Who do you have there coming out? Who's your team to pick in the NBA Finals?
I still have Oklahoma City coming out because San Antonio, I know they're deep, but they're too old. They have no speed. They can't keep up with a Kevin Durant. They can't keep up with a Russell Westbrook. They can't even keep up with a James Harden. So in a 7-game series, Oklahoma City versus San Antonio, I can't see Oklahoma City not taking it in 6 or 5.
Now, to look at the bottom, look at the other graphic of the bottom teams in the Western Conference right now. Who do you think out of those bottom teams, and we're talking about the 8, the 7, the 6, the 5, who do you think one of those teams can make a run in the playoffs?
I think a team with a lot of depth that's found in those, if we can see that graphic, yeah. Number 5, Memphis Grizzlies are a very deep team that are very experienced. Denver at number 6 has made a lot of moves this year.
Definitely
They got
Denver.
JaVale McGee, who I think is a big center who can make some plays. 7 to Dallas Mavericks, the ex-NBA champions, can definitely make some moves, especially with Dirk. If he focuses like he did last year, if he really channels himself like he did last year, then they can definitely make a run. And 8 with the revived Suns, Steve Nash doing it again.
Yep.
Hopefully they can make a run. He's
Yep.
he's getting his 10 assists. They're a great jump shooting team. They can make a run.
No, I definitely, if I had to pick one, definitely Phoenix, because I'm just a believer in Steve Nash, and what he's done with that team is unbelievable with the youngsters around him, and I believe he's doing a great job. So now to switch sides here, let's move to look at the Eastern Conference, if we can see that graphic, and we obviously have the Chicago Bulls leading it there, with Miami Heat, number 2, not that far. They have a big game coming up with one another down in South Beach that could definitely shake up things in the East. What do you see breaking down here?
The Bulls are definitely a great team, but I really think Miami understands that they're going to be the 2 seed. People believe that they're like giving up on the season, but I really think that they're focusing on the Knicks right now. I think they understand they're going to be the 2 seed because unless they do make a remarkable run, I think they're content with being the 2 seed. They understand that championships are won in the playoffs, not in the regular season. So they understand that, and I think they understand that they're the better team. But Chicago is the better team right now, and we'll see we'll really see in the playoffs.
Yeah, but definitely you can't count out Miami.
Not at all.
Obviously, LeBron, Wade, Bosh, you can't count them out. Like I said, they have a big game left with Miami. We'll see what happens there. But to jump the gun here, let's move over to our MVP races and who we have there. Now, in my opinion, I have LeBron number 1, who I think he's going to take it.
Good choice.
I think he's going to take it. Like I said, he has a big game coming up against Chicago, and if he really plays well there, I think I think he's going to take it home. And you have Kevin Durant, Kobe Bryant, and Rajon Rondo, who's been playing really well. But in the end, I really think that LeBron's going to take it. Doug, who do you have?
I agree with you with LeBron. I really think he solidified himself with the MVP race in Oklahoma City. But I also have Kevin Durant at number 2 as well as you do. And 3, I have Chris Paul, which is a shocker to some people. And 4, I have the great Kobe Bryant. So that's my input.
All right. Sorry to cut you off there, but don't go anywhere, everybody. When we come back, Josh and Alex will be talking about MLB baseball.
Hello, and welcome back to the Rain Delay. Once again, bringing you the latest in the world of sports. I'm your host, Josh Mordkoff, alongside my co-host, Alex Green. This week, we're going to discuss and analyze the MLB thus far. Let's open up with the good news in the National League. What teams, Alex, this year have surprised you thus far in their performance?
As you see right there with the graphic, got to start off with the LA Dodgers, who all our stats right now through 11 games of the season, and I have the standings right here, and the Dodgers are 9-2, on top of the NL West, and no one saw this coming. Everyone thought they'd be one of the worst teams in the MLB. They had a whole ownership issue with the McCourts, but then a group led by Magic Johnson, who's obviously an LA icon with the Lakers and everything. That whole group bought the team for $2 billion, which is a ridiculous amount of money. And I don't know whether that had some positive effect on the team, but whatever it is, it's working, and they're 9-2. You also have the Washington Nationals, who I think everyone expected to be good in a few years because they have a lot of young talent with Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg, Gio Gonzalez, a lot of their players. But they were 9-3 through the same game through 12 games, so they're really succeeding at this point. And also on there I have the New York Mets, who are my favorite team. Through 11 games, they're 7-4. And everyone also picked them as one of the teams that they predicted to finish last in the NL East and in the NL. So the fact that they're 7-4 this far in the season, and I say this far, like 11 games is a lot, it's pretty impressive.
Who are some players you think that stand out for the Dodgers, Mets, and Nationals?
You got to be Matt Kemp for the Dodgers. We actually have a graphic on him later, which we'll see. Matt Kemp had 39 home runs last year, had 40 stolen bases, almost joined the 40-40 club, which is very exclusive. And it looks like he's going to get it this year. He's leading the league in every single in home runs, RBIs, and batting average, all the Triple Crown categories. And also Andre Ethier, who's an outfielder on the team, I think he's also tied for the league lead in RBIs. The Nationals, you have the best team ERA
So Strasburg's really pitching well. Gio Gonzalez, a lot of their young pitchers, but even their hitters are playing well. Their fielding's fantastic. Ryan Zimmerman's playing like an all-star again at third base. And the Mets, I don't really know how they're really hanging in there. David Wright's been off to a pretty good year, but he's slowed down recently. Their first baseman, Ike Davis, has been underperforming, but they've had some good rookie call-ups like Kirk Neuenhuis. And Daniel Murphy, their second baseman, has been doing pretty well offensively. So they're hanging in, but I don't expect them to hang in for a much while longer. Excuse me.
So we heard about the surprise NL teams. What teams have surprised you in a negative way and may have disappointed you in their performance thus far?
Well, Josh, if we can see the graphic right there, we have the Miami Marlins and the Philadelphia Phillies who both threw 11 games for 5-6. The Phillies have been have won the NL East for 5 years in a row, and they've been to the World Series, won the World Series in the past few years. So everyone expects them to be good, but they're injured, which we also have a graphic on, and we'll see that later. So their offense has been one of the worst in the league. So even though they have some of the best starting pitchers in the league with Roy Halladay, Cliff Lee, Cole Hamels, etc., if you get 2 runs of run support a game, it's not going to help you very much.
So let's see some of these injured players that are, no pun intended, crippling the Phillies so far.
So if we can see that graphic. There it is. All right, so you have Ryan Howard, who in the NLCS last year ruptured his Achilles tendon on the last at-bat, and he's been out. It looks like he'll come back maybe next month at the earliest, but potentially not till the All-Star break. So that's their biggest power bat in the lineup, so certainly that's going to hurt them. Chase Elliott, who's really been the face of the team for the past few years, is now on the 15th ADL because he hurt his knee. And that's one of their veteran leaders. And even though he sort of had some knee issues, a lot of arthritis and other issues that I don't know, maybe just from playing so much, he's always been an emotional leader in the locker room as well, and always had pretty good production on the field. So that definitely hurts also.
And we also know that collaboratively they only have about 35 runs in 11 games so far this season, which
a little over 3 runs a game is just absolutely terrible, which is why they're 5-6.
So Alex, can you give us a playoff prediction?
See, Josh, I have a graphic on that one too, if we could see it.
Coming prepared today.
I don't know why. I didn't see the Nationals coming this year and winning the East, but they're playing fantastic. If they can keep up this pitching and keep hitting as decently as they have, it looks like they can certainly win the NL East. I think the NL Central is a pretty open division, but the St. Louis Cardinals is definitely the team that I think are going to win it. They have good hitting. The Milwaukee Brewers, who were the only other contender last year, lost Prince Fielder. The LA Dodgers, like we mentioned earlier. I think the Phillies will rebound when they get their power bats back. The Arizona D-backs have been a good team. They have Justin Upton and some good pitching. And I think eventually we're going to see that the Cardinals will end up coming out of the NL and representing them in the World Series.
Thank you, Alex. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to cut you off right there. We'll be right back with an overview of the American League after this. Welcome back to the Rain Delay. I'm your host, Josh Mordkoff, alongside Alex Green. Let's get right to it. Alex, who are your surprise teams of the American League?
Well, we can see the graphic really quick. I have the Chicago White Sox up there. Through their 10 games, they're 5-5, which is decent, but I think that's a lot better than a lot of people expect them to be. Their pitching's been it's been average, but better than a lot of people thought it would be. And their hitting's been pretty exceptional. I want to move on to the Toronto Blue Jays, who were 6-4 through their 10 games. They have a lot of young talent. Brett Lawrie's really good. And I think that it's not their year to contend because I think the AL East is really deep. But give it a few years and they could be really tough.
So who are your disappointments of the AL this year?
Got it right there. Boston Red Sox, who have been just absolutely abysmal this season. 4-7 through the first 11 games. And after last season, there was commotion in Boston. They fired Terry Francona after their September collapse. And, they hired Bobby Valentine, thought, oh, okay, he'll fix everything. The team's 4-7 so far, and it's not looking good for them. Los Angeles Angels had a huge offseason. Went out, got C.J. Wilson and Albert Pujols, among other people. Pujols still hasn't homered, so that's not going well for them. They're 4-7 through 11 games. And also the Minnesota Twins, who are 3-8 through their 11 games. With Joe Mauer and Justin Morneau healthy, who have both been former AL MVPs, you'd think they'd be at least contending offensively, and they just have been terrible. The 3-0 record shows it.
Yeah, and as far as the Red Sox go, I thought even with Valentine, maybe they'd have a little bit of an edge for this season, but their pitching's just been awful and
absolutely
just not a great performance. Alex, who are your playoff predictions for the American League?
Well, we can see that graphic. I have the New York Yankees coming out of the East. They're on top right now, and I think that they probably have maybe the best or the second best offense in the AL, and their pitching is always pretty decent. Detroit Tigers, after signing Prince Fielder, I think they've also one of the best offenses in the AL, and Justin Verlander is just fantastic. The Texas Rangers are 9-2 through 11 games. They've had one of the best offenses in the league as well as some of the best pitching. And I think the Rays will rebound. They're about 500 right now. And same with the Angels. And then the Detroit Tigers, I think they're going to represent the AL. And then we don't even need to see less graphics. I think the Detroit Tigers are going to win the World Series in 5 games over the Cardinals.
Thanks, Alex. That's all the time we have for this week's show. Thank you for all of your insight. And we're looking forward to bringing you more on the MLB season later on. We'll see you next week on The Rain Delay.